So I don't know exactly who's funding this, but I'll make a note. Yeah.
And you know, what they've done is the reference this to like some fairly good sized ones. They're doing the city of Bradenton. The landscaping.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Bradenton City Council meeting, Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in City Hall Council Chambers. As we always do, we call up our pastor to say a prayer, and then we'll do the pledge. Pastor, this morning, I would also like you to, if you can include in your prayer, a city councilwoman who passed away for the city of Tampa at 60 years old yesterday. So if we can bless her and her family, you know, we know what people do up there in this job, and unfortunately she passed away in her sleep last night, and it's a sad situation for the Tampa City Council. Chief, do you remember her name?
Gwen Henderson.
Gwen
She,
Henderson,
long
right,
time
yeah. I wanted to make sure. I knew it was Gwen, but I didn't remember the last name, so thank you.
Would you bow your heads, please? Lord, Psalm 100, verse 4 says that we enter your gates with thanksgiving. Today, Father, I thank you for our leaders that are before us who have chosen to serve our city, all of those that work on every level and every department. We just thank you for them. We thank you for their service, their love for the city, their desire to see the best things for our community. All the citizens of our city, I thank you for them. And I thank you for Councilwoman Quinn and her life in Tampa. And I just lift up her loved ones and her friends that are mourning this loss. And may the peace that surpasses understanding that only you can bring. With the reality is that when she breathed her last, she entered into the greatest part of her existence. Pray that you would bless this meeting with the wisdom and the mind of Christ, and all of the decisions that are made, and all of the citizens that are here to share what's on their heart. It would be done with love and respect and kindness and unity. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And what I'd like to do now is call of our high school athletes that are here to come forward and lead us in the pledge before we get started on that. These are high school state champions from the city schools that are here. So, all right, we'll face the flag, and if you'll lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You might as well stay standing up here for now, because you're going to be right coming up. And if all of their families would come forward at this time. And I will call the meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, I know we don't have any proclamations, so we'll go right into the presentation. And what I'd like to do is, I know I see both athletic directors from the two schools, so maybe we'll start with St. Stephen's first. And of course, known this young man since he was a high school, very good athletic player, and watched all that. But if you want to come forward and tell us about your athlete.
Absolutely. So
Just state your name for
my
our
name's
record.
Cole Hudson. I'm with St. Stephen's, as Mayor Brown stated. Today we have Corbin Franklin, one of our weightlifters from St. Stephen's. He won a state title in the boys division weight class 129. One of the smaller weight classes, but he sure lifts like he's one of the bigger guys up there. He won the state title at the Lakeland Center, and we couldn't be more proud of him. Kimani Dillingham was not able to make it. She's actually on a recruiting trip right now. She's a fabulous track and field athlete that we have. She was a state champion in 2 different events at University of North Florida. So we're really proud of both of those athletes for St. Stephen's.
Good, thank you. Congratulations. All right, and then we have Matt Bowling from Manatee High School. And Manatee is our only public high school in the city of Bradenton, as well as we have St. Stephen's and Bradenton Christian as the private schools in the city. Welcome.
Matt Bowling from Manatee High School Athletic Director. Mayor Brown, City Council, thank you for your time this morning, just to take some time to recognize. Here we have Sharika King. Sharika was a state champion in the unlimited category for girls weightlifting. Moved a total of 380 pounds, if I'm correct? So she's a junior. So we have one more year with her, so she can come back and defend her title, and hopefully set some records for us. Also not able to make it today was Candler Johnson. He had a prior engagement. He was a state champion in the long jump. 7.2 meters was just over 24 feet. So he won that in the 3A division as well. So we're excited what our student athletes are doing, and we thank you guys for your support.
Good. Any comments? Oh, we'll give it. Yep. So any councilwomen like to make a comment before I do?
Well, thank you for the honor of going first, since both of these schools are in my ward.
Right, yep.
Congratulations to both of you. Thank you for setting the examples in your school. I know that it is tough being a student athlete. And there's times that you have to go to practice and you have to put in the time. And your friends might be, oh, let's go do this or let's go do that. But you remain dedicated to what you want to do. Very proud of both of you. And the other two that are not here with us today. Thank you for being you and working hard.
Ms. Coachman?
Yes, thank you. I'll say ditto to everything Councilwoman Barnaby said. Both schools are well represented here this morning. And the other two that aren't here, I hope they can somehow feel that we're talking about them and giving them the kudos. Thank you. Great job. Keep it going. Don't stop. The sky is the limit.
Councilwoman Coker.
Thank you. Congratulations. I know it takes a lot of hard work to get to where you're at, and it's nice that you're being recognized. And you're obviously leaders, and I'm sure this is going to carry forward in life for you. I think high school athletics in general, teach such great principles of teamwork and you know, getting through the losses and celebrating the wins. And I think you'll be great role models for the people coming behind you as well. So congratulations and good luck in the future.
Councilwoman Moore.
I just wanted to let you all, to thank you for being great ambassadors for the city of Bradenton. And I have no doubt that your hard work and dedication will have you propelled in the future so that you can continue to move forward and let people know this is the caliber of student that comes out of the city of Bradenton. So thank you for representing us well.
Thank you. So it's a great word, student athlete, because, you know, you look at a lot of things over the years, and I was watching a show the other day, and it was talking about a gentleman that really has made it successful, and he said he was an athlete student, but he realized as he got older that the student was really the first part, because all he went to school was for athletics, you know, and he thought he didn't need the student part of it, but later in life you need that. And I think one of the things that we know, less than 2% of athletes go pro in any sport. 98% have to go pro in your academics. So, you know, and you can't be an athlete without the academics, and it's very important. So just congratulations. I'm just going to brag on myself, because in 1984, it was a long time ago, I was Manatee County weightlifting champion. And I didn't go to that great school, Manatee High School. I went to another school across town and even beat the Manatee, which was great for me. I still have the trophy in my house. You know, I'm still living in the past on the weightlifting. I was in the 179 class at that point. But yes, you remember those things. And winning a state championship is something you'll be proud of and be able to honor your whole life. You'll be able to say it. So keep it up. And I think you're a senior, so you're a senior this year? Yeah, so you're done, and hopefully your college career is good, but you have another year to make our community proud. So we really appreciate that and want to thank you, and I appreciate the athletic directors and the principals at the schools and everything make it happen. And do you, either one of you want to say anything? You know. Why don't you come up and introduce your family that with you? We'll go from the St. Stephen's first. So go up. This is the time. I mean, you're an individual sport, so you have to be a little bit up for yourself sometimes. So.
I'm Corbin Franklin. This is my father, Rob Franklin. Where did she go?
She's back there sitting down.
There's my mother, Misty Franklin.
Yeah, well,
I don't really know
you.
what to say. We own a local business down in Sarasota. That's really it.
Good. Well, thank you for being here.
That's it.
And you can lift a lot, so you want to come and say who? Yep. You want to come and say, we'll come from St. Stephen's and, celebrate her.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Kamika. I'm Kimani's mom. My daughter's a junior. One thing that's been great about her junior year is she's coming back off a year of being hurt. So she had no sophomore year. It's been very hard mentally for her. So just dynamically, her being able to come and win. She put her heart in and she showed the dedication, hard work. She wish she can be here, but I told her I'll come and make sure I say something on her behalf. Behind me is my beautiful mother, Glenda. She's been my rock, my stone. She gets athletics from us. I did weightlifting, cheer, volleyball. Kimani does a plethora of things, and like you said, student athlete is very important. Kimani has definitely been over 4.0 since pretty much elementary school, and she takes that very serious. So she's looking into going to Princeton. That's one of her biggest schools she's looking at for track. So we have a camp we plan to attend in 2 weeks.
Good. Well, thank you. Congratulations. All right, your turn.
So this is my mom, Sharika. She works for Manatee County Utilities. And then this is my dad. He works for the city of Bradenton.
And we don't know your dad at all. None of us know your dad. So we appreciate you, and congratulations, and good luck next year. Pressure's on, but pressure's good. It builds not only character, but builds strength in what you do in life. So, Matt, did you want to come up and just talk about the other young man a little bit?
Candler, again, state champion, long jump. We'll just talk about both of them real quick. We talk about student athlete, and as a whole at Manatee High School, our athletic program this year, which was right about 700 athletes, was over a 3.2 GPA combined. So our athletes are doing the right thing. But in speaking of these two, they both take high rigor courses, whether it's advanced placement, dual enrollment, which is really gaining them college credit in high school. So they are pushing themselves beyond the athletic field. So, you get done with practice, now you got 4 or 5 hours of homework, staring you in the face every night. So there is a dedication that comes along with it. But Candler is a sophomore who won the state title as a sophomore. So he competed in the long jump and the triple jump. So we're hopeful that he comes back for the next 2 years and continues to reign on his titles, and we're back here again this time next year celebrating 2 more state titles for Manatee. At least, hopefully.
Well, we appreciate it. I'm just going to say one more thing about, obviously, athletic directors, coaches, teachers, people that put the extra in for the extracurricular activity, which, most of us up here probably have done at some point with students and that. And we know you do it for the pay, because you get paid so much extra. But no, it's one of the things that I think I look back 40 years ago today, I graduated from high school on this date. So our was a late year that year, but I look back and my fondest memories of is the teachers and mostly of the coaches and the people that actually helped shape, who I am today and who we are, and that's most important. So we want to thank you two here today, but pass it along to all the coaches that obviously thank you for all that effort they put in, because without the coaches volunteering most of their time, these young athletes wouldn't have the opportunity to compete and get college scholarships in that. So thank you. We wanted to make this a rah-rah, and we got some stuff for you.
Mayor?
And then we'd like to get a picture.
Do you mind if I say something? I'm going to be chatty today because it's my last council, so what's he going to do, throw me off? I just want to acknowledge the parents, right? They're standing here, these kids, these student athletes are standing here because of you. Unequivocally, the hardest job, right? When I was raising my kids, we didn't have all the club teams. Well, maybe we did. I didn't take them. But, they got to where they are today because of all the hours you spent in the evenings and the afternoons, foregoing dinners at home to get these folks to the meets. And we see 2 directions in policing. Kids that don't have good mentorship and good parenting and people that hold them tight and make sure that they're doing the right thing. And then we have folks that just don't have that. And the fact that you all are here today, standing here with them, shows why they have succeeded. And so thanks for that. You make our community a safer and better place, and we look forward to your all's future. So,
Chief Gear.
So So I was just going to walk up and hand y'all a business card, but instead I'll speak. So one year when you're done with college, come back and consider public safety. Your local, the police department, the fire department, we have a lot of former athletes, and they excel, and that's what we need in the service of public safety, fire and police. So give us a shot when you're done with your education and all your tours, and consider us one year.
Thank you. All right, so what we want to do is have all the families come up here. We'll stand, and then we'll stand behind you, and we'll get a good picture. Tamara can give you all and their certificate in there, and a little goodie bag, just some fun stuff.
Can't believe they're not blue and orange.
That's all we can find. All we can find. Yeah, she did come up good. Well, if you want, David will take the picture with your camera if you want. Yeah, he'll get it.
We got to get in there tight, guys.
And turn at an angle.
So if we can kind of go at a 45-degree angle, it usually works pretty well.
See something, Harry.
He wants to do one more picture. All right. Thank you very much. And then, one more. Yep, we're good.
Absolutely.
Yep, definitely. It's okay. Oh, no problem. No problem. It'll stay. Yep, perfect.
Did I look at it?
No, I feel like maybe.
One more. Oh, that's all right. Yes. There we go. Good. All right, thank you. Enjoy the summer. Thank you. Congratulations. And I'm sure we'll see you around. You got your jacket. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Cole. Appreciate it.
Hey, Matt, how you doing? It's good, thanks. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you guys.
Yes. That was just
Thanks so much, ladies. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank
you so much.
Hey, sometimes.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Sometimes you go up about the age.
All right, we're going to kind of go off agenda a little bit. I'm going to throw it over to the chief. She's got a little announcement and acknowledgement of some great things happening in the city through our police department.
I'd like to have the members of our bike tour come on up. So I'm going to let Officer Small talk to you all about them and introduce them. But this is something that, if you know me, I'm all about tradition. And 9 years ago, when I showed up, it was something that I had done at my previous. I hadn't done it. I never rode the bike, but I certainly supported it. There's obviously the police memorial that happens in Washington, D.C. every year, and part of that tradition is officers from across the United States gather and do a 250-mile bike ride. These folks don't get much money from their agencies. They go out and do fundraising. They train on their own time, but they represent their agencies, and they do it to show awareness and help memorialize those officers that were killed that year. I believe they still carry the name of somebody who has died in the line of duty. We all had the ability, I think about 8 years ago, to put one of our officers' names on the wall who had died in the line of duty, who had never been remembered. And so this is the team. I'm going to let Officer Small introduce them and talk to you all, but incredibly proud of them. They've done it year after year. It was a larger group. It shrunk a little bit, but they're still kicking it, and I'm very proud of them. And I certainly hope that the tradition continues.
Well, to speak on that, it will. Officer Small, Allow me to introduce the team. Detective Santana, Julie Bryan, retired Sergeant Negron, and his wife, Violet Negron. We're all part of the team. We have several members that aren't here today. Unfortunately, they weren't able to join us. But I'm just going to speak to you real quick to just give you an idea of what we're about. So we ride for Law Enforcement United. Law Enforcement United is a organization that was formed to raise funds for families of fallen officers who had lost their lives in the line of duty. So we do a bike ride every year, and the bike ride is a little long. It's 250 miles in 3 days in hills. We don't have those here. So to train for it, we have to either, one, go ride the Ringling Bridge back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, or we go to San Antonio up in Pasco County where we can find some hills. So we do that so we can make this ride and ride for these officers that have lost their lives in the line of duty. This year, we raised $400,000 for the COPS program. COPS program, all that money goes directly back into the families of the fallen officers. And one of the programs that COPS does is they have a kids camp every year in the summertime for children who have lost their parents to a line of duty death. So it allows them to go and meet other children that have suffered the same loss and build a social network that's supportive for them. We also raised $100,000 for Spirit of Blue. Spirit of Blue is an organization that provides safety equipment for low-funded agencies. So to get those officers the safety equipment they need to help prevent becoming a LODD, line of duty to death. We also raised $100,000 for
ODMP.
Officer Down Memorial Page. Thank you. So this money all goes into those organizations to help support the families, because we have to support them and let them know that their family was not lost in vain. So our team is made up of all Bradenton Police Department officers. However, we do have another member that lives in Ohio. That person was never a member of Bradenton Police Department. We brought that person onto our team because I rode for her husband in 2018. After the ride, when you were done the ride, we can meet family members of the people that we rode for. Unfortunately, she and I were not able to link up. We just did not find each other. For whatever reason, we just could not find each other. We did end up, she found a way to reach out to me. We got in contact. We started talking. We had like an hour-long conversation, and she was hooked. She was ready to be part of Law Enforcement United. So this year was her first year of Law Enforcement United, and she rode for her husband. So I rode for her husband last year. She rode for her husband this year. So if you ever see somebody wearing one of these bracelets, ask them about it. It's a story of somebody that meant something to a lot of people. So for her, she got to wear the bracelet this time. Last year, I wore the bracelet and I gave it to her. I gave her the bracelet, I gave her a flag that flies on our bike. It meant a lot to her, and it means a lot to these family members when we come in with our bracelets on and knowing what we did. They embrace us, and we're able to provide them that bracelet that we wore. So it's a lot. It's challenging. This year I actually didn't ride, unfortunately, due to my daughter graduating high school. They said that if I have to go to graduation, don't get it. So, but I'll be riding again next year. Just to give you an idea of how long we've been doing it, this is our OG member. He started in 2017. This one has been riding, rode, right, initially. So she rode for St. Pete in 2012, but she's been a member of Law Enforcement United the whole time. She now does support for us. So support members, which also includes Ms. Violet Negron, support members are those that they help with luggage, they help with food. They're the ones that keep us nourished through the whole ride, because the ride is broke up in segments. So like, I think the first segment is what, 12 miles? So that we do 12 miles and then we stop and then they're feeding us. But they're two teams. So one team is there feeding us while the other team's leapfrogging, going to the next stop, setting up. So this is one continuous leapfrog effect. And so they're very important because we need our food and drinks. She's a rider. You started in 20? 21?
21 maybe.
So Lieutenant Ramdath, who isn't here, he's an original member, started in 17. And Sergeant Borden, who's not with us, he has been with us for 2 years. He's a rider who hasn't ridden. Unfortunately, he had an injury, and what was the other one? Military. He got called out in military. So he's been with us raising money and doing the training and hasn't ridden, unfortunately. So we're hoping next year is his year. He finally gets to put wheels to the ground in Virginia. Just to give you a real quick idea, we start in Chesapeake, Virginia. That's where we start, and we end in D.C. Have I missed anything?
Well, I did the Cumberland Rough Ride, so that starts in Cumberland, Maryland.
Thank you. You want to speak on that since you've got more knowledge than I do on that?
So I'm John Negron. I did the, there's multiple divisions, and one of the divisions is Maryland. So Maryland is called the Rough Ride, and Rough is RUFF, because we ride for canines. So we get dog tags instead of a bracelet. So it's pretty cool. But it's a trail that runs from the C&O trail that runs from Cumberland, Maryland to DC. And then we ride through DC, and we went to the memorial today we got there a day before they did and went to the actual memorial, and they had a service for the dogs. Wow. And then the next day we rode back to the city to meet up with the rest of the other divisions. So we also have a New Jersey division, Pennsylvania division, New York division, and they have the tough ride and the long ride. So there's multiple divisions, and like the long ride rode from San Francisco all the way down to San Diego. That was a 7-day trip, and it was like 1,200 miles. And then some of those guys flew to meet up over here, and then did one of our divisions. So
They were 1,025.
yeah, it's insane.
Great honor. Right.
So I did the rough ride. So I didn't have too many hills, thank God, until I got to the city, and because it was a trail, but it was muddy. It was raining, mud, and it was dirty, very dirty. So, but mine was a 4-day ride, but I still did 251 miles this year. So that's about it.
All right, well, thank you. Appreciate you. Chief, anything else?
Wait, are we going to take a picture with him?
Yeah, we want to get a picture, but I didn't know if the chief had anything else.
We appreciate you.
Yep, come up here. We want to get a picture, and Chief, come up. Oh, she got to go down. You need a box?
Oh, no, we're good today.
Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, we're at the time for citizen comment. Citizen comment will be accepted during the citizen comment portion of the meeting on any non-agenda item, agenda item, future agenda item, or topic of relevance to the city. Comments will be accepted on the public hearings at the appropriate time. And as we always say, you have 3 minutes. Please, when I call your name, please come forward, state your name, your city of residence. You have 3 minutes. First, I have 2 cards. I want Rodney Jones. Please come forward. Welcome.
Rodney Jones. I'm a long-term citizen here, and Melanie, I hope you get the help that you need. I really do.
Sir, please don't address anyone individually. Just talk. You got 3 minutes.
I hope you get the help that you need for the problems that you have and what we've experienced here in the city of Bradenton. But Gene Brown considers a formal complaint on the city council under Florida Statute 838.022. Whenever anyone receives information, if you're a public official, you have to do something about it. That's the whole purpose of you being there. So what Melanie has been able to do right in front of your face, it shows your very poor competency level. She's managed to go from 2016 when she came here and not do one complaint that I get me for perjury. Nobody's doing it. I've been down here saying it forever. You send me these cease and desist letters, back them up. Melanie Bevan has not done any investigations on behalf of myself, my family, and the complainants that I brought here. There's no records of it, Gene. The city of Bradenton has admitted it. In a public records, a strategically placed public records request from your, that came out of a cease and desist letter from Greg Herring, who has now been accepted as a complaint from the Florida Bar that I sent. He lied in those, that cease and desist. Melanie doesn't have any record of those files, Gene. Your own public records department says it. I mean, what's wrong with you? I mean, like, really, the evidence is there. Your own people, your own police department is saying that all those complaints that they referenced, there's no record of them. She never did the investigations. I mean, what's wrong with you? Are you deranged? I mean, are you that incompetent? And Pam, what it is, it's the prophecy. It's those that don't love the truth. The prophecy of the end time says that those don't love truth who do not love truth. The Lord himself, the Elohim, will send you strong delusion to believe the lie. You believe your own lies. You can't produce those records. In these instances, when I'm in here telling you guys that, there's by oath of office, sworn oath of office, you have a duty and responsibility to do something. And all of you are liable. So I'm filing a criminal complaint under Florida Statute 838 that they're in violation of their oath of office. Under Chapter 112, you're in violation. She's in violation. You have 180 days to do complaints. You didn't do any of them. There's no records. And you guys sit up here like nothing is occurring. I mean, it's insane. I'm praying for all of you. And my family's just important. I've complained about being harassed at my house and in the community for years. You never did an investigation. And Josh Kramer was right along with you, so my father's coming through here. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know.
Thank you. Next, we have Pat Simmons. Please state your name and city of residence. Come on forward. Welcome.
Pat Simmons, Manatee County. First of all, I wish the athletes were still here, because when I was in high school, we weren't allowed to compete. I would have loved to have run track. I begged my coach to let me run cross country, but that was before Title IX, and we weren't allowed to compete. So, yeah, so I'm proud of those girls. But what I really came here to talk about was a lack of handicap parking spots on Old Main Street. There's two right out here, right across from City Hall on Old Main. That's it. And there's no other ones until you cross Manatee Avenue. And there's one across from the courthouse, and that one I always have to back into. And I tried to do that yesterday. I had my turn signal on. I was trying to back into it, and a car pulled right up and back of me. It wouldn't move. So I had to give up on that. I did circle around again. It took me 20 minutes just to find any parking spot on Old Main or near Old Main. In the afternoons, it's impossible. I know there's parking garages, but that's the one back it's a bit of a bit of a walk for a person like me with a movement disorder to get back to Old Main. That would be really a bit of a role with someone with a walker or a wheelchair. And the one outside the Manatee Inn building, those are always taken first thing in the morning. You can't get a parking spot there unless it's a weekend. So I just wanted to let you know that, and hopefully you'll look into it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I have no other cards. Any comments by anybody? All right, we'll move forward. Mr. Perry?
Mayor, I've had the opportunity to speak with council in advance of today's consent agenda, item number 6A through X, and at this time, we would be requesting to pull items X and Y, Yankee Zulu. Mr. Williams, myself, and Mr. Peterson, those particular items deal with landscape maintenance contracts, and we think that they need to be refined a little bit, so we'll be asking for them to be pulled off the agenda. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
On the revised agenda, the two items Mr. Perry is referencing are items V and W.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion to approve pulling those two items?
Move. So moved.
Okay, so by Councilwoman Copeland,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Barnaby. And those items are being pulled for future agenda, not for further discussion today.
That's correct.
Correct, yes. All right, so we have a motion and a second. We'll start the vote in Ward 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5.
Yes.
Carries 4-0. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
At this time, I'll administer the oath. Anyone wishing to address City Council during the following public hearings will please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the factual statements and representations which you are about to present to this board will be truthful and accurate? Thank you. Item 7A is Resolution 2557.
Welcome.
I have to say, I love watching the student athletes get recognized. I was one myself back in the day. And my father was a high school coach, so it's always nice to see it. Yeah. I am going to have a condensed presentation today compared to what you had in your packet, so everything has been placed on record, just because there's a lot of repetitive. So I'm really going to hit the points of each one of these next 4 cases ahead of us today. But the first one is Resolution 25-57. This is a special use request to permit a sidewalk cafe with alcoholic beverages at 440 12th Street West. The applicant is Joseph Bennett. Here's just some quick summaries. The current use of the property is a restaurant with alcoholic beverages. Here's a location map. Old Main Street is, from the cursor here, is right here, or 12th Street West. Here's the zoning map, which is T5, which is our urban core. And the future land use is also urban core. According to the form-based code, a sidewalk cafe is an establishment where food and beverage is served from an adjacent cafe or restaurant to patrons sitting at tables seated on the sidewalk. The use is right now listed as a permitted use in the form-based code, but with the sale of alcoholic beverages on the sidewalk cafe, it does move it over to a special use for City Council or Planning Commission review and City Council approval. Sidewalk cafes within the form-based code are allowed without their approval, like I said, without alcoholic sales if there's 20 seats or less. This subject property did have an approval back on November 17th of 2004, which allowed for 2 tables on 12th Street West and 6 in an alleyway that is adjacent and on the south side of the existing building as part of a bar lounge public hearing.
Can you say that again, please?
Sure. City Council approved back in 2004, 2 tables on 12th Street and 6 in the alleyway as part of a public hearing for a bar lounge.
So it was 2 tables back in 2004.
On 12th Street.
On 12th Street.
And 6 in the alleyway.
Is this the former B-Town
Yes,
Coffee?
it is.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and how many seats at those tables did it
They did
say?
not specify that in the approval.
Okay.
It was just a number of tables.
All right.
Yep. Here is a picture of the business currently. It's the brown bag. As it's open, you can see they have two tables out there with seats, and there are 5 in the alleyway. So it's a reduction of what was approved before. Again, there was no seat count. Here's just a quick summary of it. 12th Street, as I mentioned, 2 tables, 8 chairs. Their minimal traversable space is 12 feet. Code requires 5 feet, which is also federal rules for ADA compliance. The alleyway is 5 tables with 20 chairs with a traversable space of minimum of 5 feet 6 inches. Both locations will not have a busing or hostess station. The applicant is requesting to keep all of the furniture stored outside in the alleyway against 440 12th Street West. And that means the 28 seats that are allowed out there. City Council is encouraged to evaluate the request based on the provided criteria, as well as staff input, or input from the staff, the applicant, and the public. It is in staff's opinion that this request is consistent with the intent of section 3.3.2.5 of the land use regs and the design element of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan does discuss throughout the encouragement of sidewalk cafes in the downtown area. Planning Commission did meet on May 21st of this year. They did recommend approval with a vote of 5-0 to Resolution 25-57, or case PLN-SUP-24-0009, with the following stipulations: that no more than 7 tables, that the cafe is permitted with no more than 7 tables and 28 chairs, that an approved site plan with conditions shall be accessible on the property during business hours. Within 30 days of the approval, the property owner shall execute an indemnification agreement with the city, which all previous applicants have been working on and submitting. Letter D is once the business is closed, all furniture, the 7 tables and 28 chairs must be stored in the alleyway located to the south of the building. The table shall be placed adjacent to the building unit in the alleyway, and the alleyway gate shall be secured when the business is closed. And that site plan was part of Exhibit B in the resolution that was submitted and is on record in your packet. That letter E is a traversable space of no less than 5 feet be maintained at all time, and this includes seating, tables, anything related to the sidewalk cafe. Letter F, that the property owner or business owner shall obtain all state licenses permitting the sale of alcohol as part of the sidewalk cafe. G, any cleaning solution shall be approved by Public Works. And H, any future increased seating for the sidewalk cafe shall be approved by City Council. Now, these were stipulations applied by Planning Commission. If City Council sees anything they would like to change, that is something you can have a conversation with the applicant about and have it in agreement with the applicant.
All right, I've got Ms. Coker and then Mr. Perry.
Sure.
Oh,
You have
Mr. Perry, go first?
Mr. Perry, go ahead.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr. DeLong. Can you address a little bit about that this was previously approved, there was a permit actually previously approved, and abandonment concepts of any sort of previous permit?
Well, a sidewalk cafe, if it was a special use permit, does not expire. So this would repeal the previous approval if it is approved today.
Okay, but it doesn't expire, even if it isn't used. So 100 years later, someone can come in?
Our code does not specify deadline dates for special uses.
Okay.
As long as the conditions were met from that previous approval.
I see. And what was the specifics of that previous, did it just specify the tables?
It just specified the tables.
Did it have dimensions as far as where the location of the tables had to be?
I could not find any.
Did it have any provisions as it relates to how the tables were to be stored?
No.
Did it have any provisions to address ADA requirements for clearance and the like?
Not that I could.
Was there any consideration to security factors regarding the gates closing, opening, access to the parking lot and the deck?
There was no consideration for the gates.
Was there any consideration for photometric study that dealt with lighting in the area?
I did not see anything.
Was there any prohibitions on alcohol after a certain period of time being consumed in an alley that could be dark and potentially locked?
Did not see anything in the minutes.
Did they check anything as it relates to police service calls in the area?
Nope.
Okay, I'll move on to a different subject. I think that point was pretty clear. Let's talk about the storage of those tables. How large are the tables?
Let me pull off the site plan. Actually, I'm having a hard time reading this here.
Do you know who did that drawing?
The applicant did.
What is that? One of those, what do you call that? A block paper or something?
Grid paper.
What is it?
Like grid paper, graphic paper.
Do you know if it's to scale?
That I don't know. None of the ones we have received have been to scale.
It was professionally prepared by an architect?
No.
Keep going.
I may ask
Dimensions?
the applicant to come up and specify the table sizes, if that's okay.
We'll get to that. Apparently, it doesn't specify on the dimensions.
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time reading it on here.
Okay. Do you know about the city's responsibility as it relates to ADA? American with Disabilities Act, clearances, grade change, lighting, transitions?
No, I don't.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Coker?
Yeah, actually, he kind of touched on a lot of what I was going to ask about. First off, because the gate's just kind of been a problem for me from the get-go. That was a CRA project, and there have been different policies. I don't know how codified they were, but it was law enforcement's responsibility to lock them, but at a certain time. That is a right-of-way, and my personal opinion is that keeping that back parking lot and alley so inaccessible makes it unsafe. But that's just my opinion. And there was a lot of discussion because there were some really bad things that happened about needing additional lighting there. So I think that should definitely be addressed. But we need to have a definite policy. At one point, Smitty, who was running the B-Town Coffee, he was responsible for the gate, and then half the time it wouldn't be unlocked or it'd be left. It just, that gate's been an issue for me for a long time. Also, I wanted to know about the business hours. What are their operating hours?
I will let Mr. Bennett answer that one for you,
Okay.
if that's okay.
And then my other question, the storage. I complained about that before because they would lock the gates and it just was a storage thing. And I think it's very unsightly. I think if we're going to allow that, it's not their private dining room. And I think it's nice to let someone have that stuff out there, but it needs to be stored properly inside. So that's just my place.
Okay, Ms. Barnaby?
Mr. DeLong, can you go back to the picture that shows, yes. I remember the first time that we spoke with Fisherman Joe about putting tables out there. And they were smaller tables, they were 2 seats each. And there were 6 of them. And so that would mean 12 seats. And they were put in such a way so that they would not impede anyone's progress if they were in a wheelchair with a walker, et cetera. So I'm kind of surprised to see these tables of 4 here, because that was not what was allowed before.
So I do have a question, because I've got other property owners next door, nothing to do with this today, but in the past met with Mr. Perry and I and asked for some elevator shafts and different things in that area. So it brought up when you showed this picture, so basically, are we making this now the private dining room for this new, where they're going to be able to lock it when they want and open it when they want, if the tables are there?
It would be since it's a public right-of-way, it would fall under the sidewalk cafe. That's
Right, but again, if we're saying it's going to lock the gates.
That was a stipulation they put on it.
Right.
Just for security reasons and to.
But whose security and what time and?
Well, that's a question. I was
Yeah.
trying to get an answer myself on the key
Right.
or the gate,
Right.
which has not been. I've not gotten a straight answer on who has access to that key. So
Well, I'm just
it may be a
concerned-
discussion to have with the applicant.
Right, but we'll get to that when his chance is here. But again, it sounds like that if the applicant was going to be able to control the gate, then it basically shuts it off to the public. And there's parking back there. I believe, we had an incident a year ago that I believe that was used for the traveling back and forth to cause the problem. So, I mean, if it's going to be locked, then and then I don't want to put more work on our staff or our police or that, but it should be used for the public access, not a private business. And, you know, so again, that's something we have to really, I think, figure out today, because it didn't get figured out many years ago correctly. And stipulations that are set up to fail is what that was back then. So, yeah, and I want to make sure that, just to make sure it's been said to us, because, again, a previous meeting we had with the property owner, his comments were to Mr. Perry and I that I don't care how it looks. I live in Palmetto, and I don't care, as long as the roof doesn't leak, that's all I have to do. That's what the property owner told me of these buildings. And because there is some, I believe, some code enforcement violations on those buildings, and he said it would be up to the leasees to take care of it. So I think part of the whole purpose of doing all of this is to give the people, with no cost, which, you know, what started this for me was when Oak and Stone brought in their application to do the Sidewalk Cafe, and they had to pay $1,840 to get that. When they realized that there was restrictions on moving the tables in and out, so far, I believe that's been their decision not to move forward, but they still paid the $1,840. That's when I brought it to you guys, then brought it to the council to say, let's get some uniformity here, but also let's get some consistency for off hours when things are closed and people aren't sitting on benches and tables, and, you know, so this is I think this is the final businesses on Main Street that.
Yeah, we're down to like the last
we have
one.
So
6 left.
we
and
want
2
to
more in the pipeline.
we want to promote the business, but we also want to promote safety, and that's one of the things. I don't know if the chief has any comments yet or not on that alleyway.
Yeah, I looked a lot at that alleyway, the shooting we had recently. In fact, I think the guy just got convicted. That's where the bad guy fled, down that alleyway. It's, you know, dark. Unfortunately, we don't have ample camera coverage there. We hit Main Street pretty well. You know, I'm just going to make a comment. I read in the Bradenton Herald that the person who's asking for this, that we shut down his bar because we didn't like his clientele. We shut down, well, we didn't shut it down. We had issues with the operation of that establishment because my officers were put in harm's way dealing with incident after incident after incident. We showed the video here of people jumping on my officers' backs, grappling with them. And so I will tell you that the history of the management and ownership of him doesn't bode well with me for a feeling of comfort and safety and security. So I just hope you all consider instilling or having them, you know, certainly step up what would help us do our jobs. We are really doing well now with Main Street. I think we're seeing you know, some healthy, fun, safe events in the afternoon, in the evening. You guys don't really even hear me talking about any problems down there anymore, and I certainly don't want that to start again. And so whatever we can do to make sure that the level of safety and security that we have down there remains, I would appreciate it.
So Chief, I do have a question on this, and I'll get to you, Mr. Perry. So obviously, I've been an advocate for all of my time as a council member and as mayor of bringing more business downtown. And it's no secret that I'm not against bars, but I'm against more of I'm for restaurant-type bars and family entertainment. So I like what this business is doing, but how do we make sure that we don't get into one of those situations? And that alleyway is a problem, because we know whether it's us in some city way, and I know Mr. Williams will go to this because being the operations chief, we don't want to have to hire somebody every night to go there at 10 o'clock and then open it at some time in the morning, because it makes it very difficult. But, and I know it, and it's not fair to put it on the property owner either, because if they don't do it right one time, then, because their employee didn't do it right, then where are we? So I just think that's something we really have to try to figure out and consider. And we don't want to have to put it on code enforcement. We don't have to put it on the police. We got to figure out how we get that and to make that business as successful as it is. And I really think that, you know, I don't know. I mean, I want to hear what everybody has to say about that up here. Is there a way? And I haven't heard anything about hours of operation of that gate and some of that, and I think that's going to be important to put it in, which, you know, might affect other things, you know. So I think, did Mr. Perry, did you have something else?
I just wanted to touch on this alleyway and the nature of it as it's surrounded by liquor establishments, calls for police service to the lot behind it, calls for police service to some of those places at certain hours and the like. And it would seem to me that if you have a dark area that's enclosed with alcohol around it, where we know there's a history of folks that consume the alcohol and kind of engage in some after-hours activity that they shouldn't, we have a liability there. Because if somebody gets beat up there, shot, killed, or otherwise, I can see a crafty plaintiff's lawyer coming in and saying, well, you have a responsibility for that land, for the lighting of it, for the security, for the gatekeeping, and all these other aspects related to it, and fashioning a potential, you know, liability situation that the city can't get out on a summary adjudication of things like that. You know, I think it goes beyond just the planning department. Great group of 5 people on the planning department. Not so sure they consider all of the exposure to the city, the use and the like. You know, Chief talked about the alleyway. That was really interesting to see the video from that double attempted murder charge that the individual pled to 2 weeks ago and received 17 years by the circuit court. The individual left the bar because there was a skirmish inside, went and got a weapon, was what is believed to happen, came back with the weapon, and then after the shooting, left that alleyway with the weapon. And the PD did a really good job of developing evidence to that. If that isn't, you know, seeing is believing as far as dangerous conditions and the responsibility of this council, the city, the planning department, the planning commission, and the city administration to address, I don't know what is.
Ms. Moore?
I think I just want to clarify obligations. So this right-of-way is a public right-of-way. Why do we even have a gate then? Why are we doing this? And I mean, I'm asking this question because I do not know the history of the gate. But I feel like we should then, is it incumbent upon us to add lighting and make our own right-of-way?
I don't really want to go down there. There's good questions about that. I'm talking about the existing conditions right now. We can go tangibly down that road about how the gate get there, what the gate does, what we could do. We could bring the police department, hire 3 more officers and provide security or do whatever we have to do to be able to fend off those lawsuits. But they're theoretical and hypothetical at this point. I think we ought to focus on this property and its current application before us.
All right, any other questions before we let the applicant come up? All right, thank you. Please state your name and obviously who you're representing, and you have been sworn.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Joseph Bennett. I live in Manatee County. I'm representing currently the Brown Bag. Just to clarify, I did not say the police department made me shut down or the city made me shut down in that article. What I said was, out of the kindness of the city, we chose to shut down that business because the city did not like where the clientele was going, and likely I did not either. So for the record, that's the truth. Please reread that.
Well, Mr. Bennett, I'll stop you there because I did talk with the newspaper because they did not reach out to us, and they said there was a lot more that you said that they deleted because they knew it wasn't true.
That is not true, sir.
Well, I just know what they told me, so.
I'll show you the video in my building then.
Good, yeah.
Because that's not the truth at all.
Right, so.
We're just trying to get the seating out here to the alleyway, back to where it used to be. These tables are actually the same size as the previous tables of B-Town Coffee with the 4 seating. I'm not sure about Fisherman Joe's in the past. I was not around for that. There is plenty of space from the table to the actual planters for ADA compliance. I don't recall the exact size of the tables off the top of my head currently, so I do apologize for that, but they're standard 4-seating tables. We're just asking for it to allow people to enjoy the weather outside and the beautiful city of Main Street and Bradenton that we have. So, which is why we're asking for it. The reason we were asking to lock them up was because when I spoke with Officer Soniglio in the past, it's been prior to B-Town Coffee used to lock the gates when we purchased that spot, and then we waited to redo it all. Somewhere along the lines, the city lock went missing off the gate. Before that time, we were opening the gate, shutting the gate each night, as you know, per request actually from the officers, because of the safety reasons of someone like that running down the alley. You know, we should keep those locked, honestly. As far as the liquor on this property, we currently don't even have a liquor license there, and all we would be doing would be beer and wine, which is previously what the B-Town Coffee previously had. Our hours of operation, we open at 7 a.m., we close at 3, Monday through Sunday. Friday and Saturday nights, we currently just started opening late night for food, from 8 to 2, just to keep people, you know, to give them the options to have food in their stomachs.
All right, so can you tell me those hours again?
Yeah, it's 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
All right, Monday
And then
through?
all the way through the week, and then we
Monday through
reopen on Friday and Saturday nights at 8 p.m.
Friday and Saturday?
Yes, sir.
All right, what, can you, in that picture that's up right now, there's like 3 tables, it looks like, and then there's something else behind them.
Oh, there's another table.
Oh, okay.
Just
less chairs?
Yes, sir.
So it's 5 tables there and 2 tables out front?
Yes, sir.
Is that with what would stay?
Yes, sir.
If everything's approved as is? You would keep the 5 on the alleyway and then only the 2 out front?
Correct.
All right. And then, do you anticipate getting a liquor license for the 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday?
No, the only thing we would go after would just be a beer and wine license.
All right. Do you anticipate the alley being open from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
That would really be up to you guys. We can close the alley off at whatever time you guys prefer.
All right. And so would the tables be left out front from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
Again, that's up.
Okay. No, because I mean, again, I've been pushing hard for more food downtown, and even that, I think I've only heard good things about, you know, people going in and getting sandwiches and doing things, so. But we just want to make sure that there's no ambiguity once stuff's done, so things don't flow through. Ms. Barnaby, did you get your card up a minute ago?
I had it up because I wanted to know the hours of operations, and I was afraid that Mr. Bennett wasn't. I mean, he's got so many balls in the air right now. I just wanted to make sure that we got those.
Any other questions of the applicant before we go to public hearing? All right, thank you. All right, at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Mr. DeLong, did you have anything you wanted to finalize up?
I do not.
All right, so.
Can we put the conditions up on the screen?
Yeah, thank you.
This is just A through D.
So the first thing I see is the sidewalk cafe is permitted no more than 7 tables and 28 chairs. I think there needs to be an example in there to say only 2 out front and 5 along the side. So this is my opinion, is that when they're talking about this in 20 years, there's no ambiguity, again, like some before. Mr. Rudisell, did you have something you needed to?
No, I mean, the site plan is incorporated into the development order, so that is attached, and it shows where the tables are located, but if we want to clarify that in the.
Yeah, I think it needs to be clarified, so the next owner or somebody else doesn't say, oh, well, we thought we could put all 7 out front. So I think that should be clarified. I just don't know about the hours. I mean, it's I don't know if that's something we can talk about, or if anybody else has opinions on those hours.
And this is a question maybe I should have asked. Are they allowed to have outdoor music there? Will there be any outdoor Or is this truly just eating and drinking?
But that's something you could say no, we could say no.
Well,
There's no plan to have outdoor music at that location. This is really just a sandwich shop that we just wanted to offer some beer and wine for someone who wanted to grab a small beer with their sandwich, honestly. As a kid, I used to go to work with my dad, and on the weekends, we'd go hit up a restaurant. He'd grab a beer in the middle of a shift, and, he was a body man by trade, so he owned his own business. So he would have a beer at lunch, and I'd have a sandwich, he'd have a sandwich, and we'd go back to work. That's really all this is.
okay, well, in the past, I think some of the issues were when these DJs would come and so I just want to make sure we're not going to be setting up for anything like that.
This isn't even that type of establishment, nor would it be. I mean, obviously, it's too small in any way.
But the side, I think she's more talking about on the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all.
All right, Mr. Perry.
Listening to the hours of operation, 7 to 3 p.m., it's just a sandwich shop. Nice place someone can eat, get some shade, have a beer with their dad during the day, that kind of thing. All good. Do we really need 5 tables in the public alley to do that, all along the city's right-of-way that goes all the way back there? Or could we limit that, and maybe the applicant would be agreeable to doing it? I'd also like a plan that somehow specifies, as what the mayor was talking about, as far as the dimensions, as it relates to the tables, and that if we did reduce it to 2 tables, that they be taken in at night, so that the alleyway is completely accessible. The tables can't be used as a battering ram or a place to bang somebody's head against them, or a corner to thump them with. Those are the kinds of things that we have to deal with from a security perspective, I think PD and fire and the public safety entities. As far as the nighttime hours of 8, I think it was 8 to 2 a.m.
Friday and Saturday.
I don't know why we want people in that alleyway. And when they said, well, we only have beer and wine, sure, so what I'll do is I'll go get all liquored up at the 2 places that have hard liquor, and then I'll go over there and get my sandwich with a beer and sit out in the alley. I mean, I think we've got to be pretty careful about whether we want to be family-friendly or bar-friendly down there. And some of the stuff I've seen in those videos that Chief Bevan had to deal with looked like it was more late-night friendly, i.e. when bars close from other places. Let's go downtown Bradenton and light it up. I've been in those kinds of places. I've had to supervise them. I've gone to them myself when I was younger. And I get what we're trying to do here as far as the family-friendly, but I think there has to be very precise rules for these types of locations in order to keep that in place. And I think you should consider a limitation on tables, that the tables not be in there late at night into that alley, that they be bought inside, and ultimately that the alley be maintained, opened up, not controlled by a private business, commercial business. It'll be challenging enough.
Right. Well, if we light that alleyway up, if we light it up like it should be, that's safer. Isn't that one of our police?
Absolutely.
Light it up. And if it's open and where the police going to drive down the road and look down it, right now you drive at night, you can't even see down it. And of course the exclusions, but no, I agree with that. I mean, because I don't know, I think Mrs. Moore may have asked about if it's a public access, why are we locking it? Why is there even a gate on it?
Right.
But it's got to be secured and where the can go. And again, we know that locking the gate just hasn't worked in 20 years because it's who's, left hand, right hand. So I think you had some questions, Ms. Moore?
I did. I don't disagree with you with the evening thing. Is it possible to, I agree with you about lighting the alleyway. It seems like that is something that we should do if it's a problematic area. Is it possible to limit the tables to daytime use only, and then in the evening hours, like whatever, after 3 p.m., the alley tables have to be removed?
Yeah, we can do whatever. And then as we saw with Oak and Stone, once we gave them the regulations, they make their decision on how they want to operate them.
Right.
So, again, this is safety for me. And we saw that, and it's, I think there's been fights. I've heard of them and seen them, and seen results of some things, and that's, again, what we don't want to get into again.
Worse.
Right. Ms. Barnaby?
Chief Bevan, when the incident or several incidents that occurred that we saw the videos of, I'm trying to remember, they were after 2 a.m., were they not?
Yes, it was right around closing time. That was always the big issue. And I think we even adjusted at one point. And Captain Thiers, you know more about that than me. I know you're the one who did the presentation on that. We adjusted closing time because of that, or the bar owner adjusted closing time. I know I think O'Bricks now closes, do they still close at midnight?
Midnight.
I think they still close it at midnight, and that's largely due to a lot of the issues
They
that were
stopped
brought.
serving food at 10, and then they used to be open till
closed their
2,
restaurants.
but then they have closed at midnight because of what was happening downtown. They didn't want their staff being.
Correct, yeah, the majority of our issues dealt around closing time and the crowds gathering outside and lingering, and we had to
And
address
so
that.
tables sitting around, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this, is seating after certain hours needs to be moved in or at least bottlenecked up where nobody can sit on it. Because if you leave a place, they're going to stay.
I think a question I would have is, do we have to have that alleyway closed, or do we leave it open? Because it feeds from a public street to a private lot. Remember, it feeds into the backside of First Baptist. Parking really.
Well, it's not, it's a private for-pay lot now, where before it was a
Correct.
private lot for only the
So it
businesses.
feeds the 13th Street public parking.
Right.
First Baptist moved their entire property to paid parking. So I don't know statistically how many people are using that alleyway now at night.
But we also have another property right next door to it that would like to put an elevator in, which would take up half of the alleyway.
Correct.
So, do we give them that right? Because I know whenever there's public access normally, and Scott, you can opine on this, whenever we vacate things, usually half of it goes to the one owner and half goes to the other owner. Typically, that's a vacation. But I think, and again, I have no idea why that alley's there, but if we're going to leave it as an alley, it needs to be open totally as an alley.
Yeah, I would suggest we stop blocking it
Mm-hmm.
together, but that comes with, environmental concerns, lighting, cameras, safety, all
But
the
if we light it up
aspects
and
of it.
camera it up, people are going to be less likely to
Correct.
do crime there.
That is correct.
But the tables could be an issue. They're in the way. Ms. Barnaby? I'm sorry, Ms. Barnaby, I didn't see Ms. Coachman's first.
Oh, go right
Ms.
ahead.
All right, I just have
I'm
this
sorry.
question. So the parking lot is a private paid lot?
That's correct.
And what are the hours for that?
They run a business time. They have a lease agreement, I believe, with the law firm on the corner. They have it during the daytime. The church has it at all times, and then off times is pay to park through a service.
But our
So could-
our problem has been, though, that they don't necessarily enforce it at night, and so we have some issues in that parking lot as well of people hanging out there and not paying, and becomes a pass-through.
Now, they have gone with a new vendor that is heavily enforcing and doing a better job versus what we had in the past, with just using a tow service for no parking allowed. They're doing it now for profit.
Unless they pay.
Correct.
Let me ask this question, it may play into your question, Ms. Coachman. If that alley was completely closed off, if it was never there, never existed, would that be better for us? Or would it be something that it's an access, but it's not that far to walk to Manatee Avenue and around?
Correct. And we also want to encourage the use of our parking garage.
Right.
So that's,
Yes.
but I think that's probably more of your question for egress as it pertains to the fire department. I don't know how that works for you guys.
Well, with, my comment was gonna be is like, when you look at the space around there, I know it meets ADA, and then you see the tables, you see the planters, then you have the business. You don't know what the business next door is gonna want of that alleyway. If you ask me, I'd prefer to keep it open, totally, but that's from a fire, request. Is there a code that we can enforce? We've looked at it. I think they probably meet minimums in there, but my question is when the neighboring occupant gets into that building, what are they going to want to take up as well? So there's such limited access around those buildings. I would like to see it wide open, but that's my request.
So let me ask this question again, I'm sorry. So is there a way, and maybe the business owner would have to address this, for a couple more tables out front? Again, we want people driving by and being vibrant, and so right now there's only 2 tables, but there's a lot of space there compared to other areas. Is there a way to have other tables out front? Because that's probably our biggest area.
I was trying to go back and
Of that.
Google just now to see if Fisherman Joe's had any old pictures up, because I was
Right.
trying to remember how many we had out front.
Right. Well, I mean, if we have the 5-foot access, because again, if we're going to say, hey, the alley's closed, no tables on the alley, it's just a open alley at 8 o'clock at night when it gets dark, it's like the Super Bowl there. It's lit up in the cameras. And, but Ms. Coachman, I'm sorry, because if you want to finish.
It's okay.
She was going to finish.
You go ahead.
All right, I have Ms. Barnaby and then Ms.
Well,
Coker.
my question was, and this is probably a question for the business owner, how many tables and chairs are inside? Well, I mean, are there no tables and chairs inside? Because in the past, there's been room and there has been tables and chairs inside.
There's 7 two-top tables on the inside that are along the one wall.
What about in the,
The middle section, we
Yeah.
keep it open just for access of people walking in and walking out for safety.
well, but I seem to remember both Fisherman Joe and B-Town had like at least one 4-top there, a
Yeah,
4-top and a couple of
You
2-tops.
could barely walk around it at that point, so.
Yeah.
ADA compliance and all that makes us, we try to do things as legal as possible. So we're only trying to make sure everyone has the proper seating. I mean, during Mondays, during court, when they let out, all those tables are completely full inside and outside, with all the jurors coming for lunch. Again, I mean, we currently don't even have a beer and wine license there. This is just for the future. So, I mean, if you guys don't want a beer and wine license there, that's not an issue. I really don't care, in all reality. So I just put the application in just for future aspects of that.
I don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
I do too. Ms. Coker and then Ms. Moore.
Yeah, I think I'd be a lot more comfortable if those were 2-tops going down the alley and maybe allowing, if there's room, the 4-tops up in the front. Just because of the ingress and egress. And I am not a safety expert, but just critical thinking, I think keeping that parking lot, whether it's paid or public or whatever, keeping it more remote and separated from what's going on downtown makes it more unsafe. So having that lighted and monitored, to me, would be would make that parking lot in the back, the alley behind the building, all of that safer. Because a lot of people, Loaded Barrel, you can access from behind to go into their restaurant. So people will park back there as well. So, I mean, I think it's good having the egress and ingress, more of it. It stops bottlenecks, so I don't like having that gate locked. I've been against it from the beginning. And, but it's an attractive gate, so I don't want it removed. Maybe just don't have it closable or something. But I think I'd rather see 2-tops going down the alley and keeping it more wide open and access.
Well, so you say that, but is that from the 7 to 3 Monday through Sunday and then also on Friday night and Saturday night? Or would it say they need to be moved in on Friday and Saturday if he's going to be open from 8
I
to
think they need to
2?
be moved in at night, period.
Period.
Because
On the
I can
alleyway.
remember looking at it, being very unhappy. It just turned into they were all stacked up and gated. It looked just unsightly. I think they need to be taken in anyway. Yeah, I mean, I thought we put in the serving time was only until 1, wasn't it?
No, it's midnight. We have an after midnight permit, so obviously.
But it goes
can't
until,
apply.
it doesn't go till 2, does it?
We went from 2:30 to 2.
We do.
Oh, you remember I wanted midnight anyway.
Alcohol only.
Sorry.
Ms. Moore?
I think the nature of the business is not as relevant because I don't think we can control that. Once we give the special use permit, it doesn't matter what he chooses to do with the business or who comes later. So I think if we have concerns about the safety of the alley, it has to just be uniformly addressed with what we're doing right now. I think it should be open. I think it should be well lit. I don't know the history of the gate. I don't know why it's being locked. I would suggest that we focus on the tables in the front, if you can get that ADH compliance for the tables that front, or that are located on Main Street. And that the alleyway, I think there's a couple of considerations, making sure that there's the 5 feet. I don't know who controls the planters, but they kind of seem to also be in the way. But I would say that we need to make sure that that's very accessible for people to be able to run through, like to be able to use the right-of-way, unless we're going to do something else with the right-of-way. And I like the idea of having the 2 tops, or I think if, to your point, that we're trying to make things more family-friendly, maybe the 2 tops are there during the day, but in the later hours, they're not there, so that law enforcement and fire has complete control over the entire alleyway. Those are just some of my thoughts for what I'm perceiving to be an issue with the alleyway.
How many tables do you think you could get out front?
We could probably fit 4.
2 more?
Hmm?
Yeah, I mean, again,
In
that's
reality.
what we're kind of going
Still
through.
be by ADA.
Right, ADA, and
You'd be cutting it closer. That's why I put them in the alley instead of allowing that pathway to be wider.
I just think the alleyway, as we've seen, has been a problem the whole time, and to eliminate that problem for you too, as a business, might be a better situation. Chief, did you have something else?
No, I tend to agree, and you're right. When I showed up here, we'd have to send an officer out every night to lock the gate, and I questioned that, and they're like, well, because if not, you get people sleeping there, you get problems, you get whatever. So that gate's always been just very odd that we're locking down an alleyway, but we like people out front. We can go up and down the street. We can see people. Visibility for us is our friend. And so, and I do appreciate the idea of smaller tables in the alley if we do
During the
that.
day.
Yeah.
So if, it sounds like the stipulation would be tables in the alleyway that are 2 tops, smaller, up against the wall, between the hours of 7 and 3, and then at night, the alleyway, after 3 o'clock, the alleyway is totally open. Mr. Rudiso?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we're going to, kind of hearing the direction that we're headed, I think we probably need to continue this because they're going to have to revise their plan. We don't want to just stipulate it and then have a plan that looks different because that's going to be confusing. So I just wanted to make that comment. I think it sounds like what we're looking for is continuance to whatever the next meeting would be, and the applicant can redesign the site plan in accordance with the comments and work with staff on limitations on timing.
Our next meeting is July 23rd. So is that just, we need a motion to continue to July 23rd?
Mr. Mayor, if I could kind of just chime in with Mr. Rudicel's comments, perhaps the motion to continue with the caveat that the planning department get with the applicant to consider a proposal that includes some of these suggestions, whether they be 2 tops during the day, the number of 2 tops in the alley during the day, the out front tables up to a certain number, and any other conditions you think appropriate for that. And that way, when they kind of go back to the planning department has some directions. The applicant knows kind of where he's at. And I'd also like there to be a drawing with decent dimensions. I don't think it has to be from an AIA architect, but I need something that shows dimensions relating to how much it's going to impede different types of clearance areas, whether it's ADA, public safety, fire equipment that has to get through, and things like that.
Okay. Ms. Barnaby?
I would, pardon me, I would also like to see a stipulation that talks about no outside music or any type of amplified system, like a DJ.
Ms. Moore?
I think it's a question for Mr. DeLong. The grant of a special use permit for a sidewalk cafe does not grant him the right to play music, I would think. Okay. Don't we have a prohibition already on?
The sound ordinance.
There's a sound ordinance.
Right.
Yeah, this is just to allow the sale of alcohol only on the public sidewalk or in the public right of way. That's what the special use is for. Now, if he did not sell alcohol on the premise or on the public sidewalk, we wouldn't be here today because it's permitted as long as there's less than 20 seats.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we continue this until our next meeting to allow the applicant and our Planning and Development Department time to come back to us with all of our concerns addressed.
Okay, is there a
Just for
second?
the record, that is on July
23rd.
23rd at 8:30.
Seconded by Ms. Coachman.
We need to see if the applicant consents to the continuance.
Yeah, are they here?
Continue.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay, so the applicant says yes. All right, so we have a motion and a second to continue until July 23rd with the 2025. The applicant working with the planning department with what they've heard today. We'll start the vote in Ward 2,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1.
Yes.
Carries 4-0. All right, let's get all that stuff away.
And I will get with Ms. Melton to ensure that the minutes reflect that direction.
Mr. DeLong.
All right. All right, Greg DeLong, Assistant Director, Planning Community Development, and I have been sworn. Again, this will be a summarized presentation, just so we can hit all the high points of the proposal. This is Resolution 25-58. And again, the applicant is Joseph Bennett. This is for 313 12th Street West. This is the new Shuckett restaurant that replaced the former Bamboozer. Again, requesting a special use approval for a sidewalk cafe with alcoholic beverages. Here is a location map showing the location. Zoning map, this is in the T5 zoning district. And again, the future land use is urban core. Again, here is the definition of the form-based code under section 12.1.d, Roman numeral 6, defining what a sidewalk cafe is. It is basically an area adjacent to a cafe or restaurant where seating is outside on the public sidewalk. The proposed use, again, is a permitted use as long as there's less than 20 seats. The applicant, again, is requesting alcoholic beverage sales, so that would kick it over to a special use, which requires City Council approval and Planning Commission review. Here is, again, photos of the property. Shuckett, please note the bottom. At the Planning Commission meeting, Planning Commission did put a stipulation that the picnic tables be removed and that tables and chairs be placed out there. 3 tables and up to 20 chairs, which would be code compliant. Here is the area that this is a modified site plan showing the 3 tables. Now, please note this site plan does only show 12 chairs. Now, I said already, Planning Commission allowed him up to 20. So if you feel like 20 chairs is too many, you could always, adjust that at the agreement with the applicant. But this is for 3 tables. Again, up to 20 chairs per Planning Commission. He is showing 12 on this updated plan.
Can you blow that up at all, or?
Unfortunately, I can't, or I don't know how to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think there's a larger.
I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world.
Picture. You have a.
It is in your packet.
Larger, but it's still very.
It's a little hard to see.
It's changed.
Yeah. But this is, here's the tables.
So what's supposed to happen with if we put 3 tables on up to 20 chairs, what's supposed to happen with those 3 tables and 20 chairs at the end of the day or end of the night?
He is requesting to keep these outside as part of the proposal.
Well, but I mean, gathering them up, locking
Gathering them up, putting them up adjacent to the building.
up against the building
Yeah,
is
locked.
So it would be where that oyster sign is, the oysters are.
Yeah, probably with the area, to the left of the front door, if you're looking at the building from the
Do
street.
we have an hours of operation?
I will have him discuss that with you if that's fine.
All right.
Thank you. Let me try to shrink this back down. I apologize. I'm not the most individual in the world. Alrighty. Okay. And here, the traversable area is about 11 feet minimum. Again, City Council is encouraged to evaluate the request based on the criteria, as well as input from staff, the applicant, and the public. It is in staff's opinion the request is consistent with section 3.3.2.5 of the land use regulations and the design element of the comprehensive plan, which, as I mentioned in the previous case, does encourage sidewalk cafes in the downtown area. Planning Commission did meet on May 21st. to review this case, and they did vote 5-0 with the following stipulations: that the approved resolution, including the approved site plan and conditions, be on display during business hours. Within 30 days of the approval, that the owner shall execute the indemnification agreement with the city. This was the modified stipulation that they put on there. This was to allow for 3 tables and up to 20 chairs may remain on the sidewalk when the business is closed. The tables and chairs shall be placed adjacent to the building unit and locked with a cable lock. Again, here's the typical language on the 5 feet of traversable space. Typical language we've always proposed is that they retain all necessary state licenses to allow for the extension of alcoholic sales onto the public sidewalk. Any cleaning solution under letter F be approved by Public Works, and in letter G, that any future increase in seating with the sidewalk cafe be approved by City Council. And that is all I have. I can turn it over to the applicant unless you have anything for me.
All right, questions right away? Ms. Coker?
I think my main question was again, obviously going to the right tables, but also the storage of the tables at night. Are they going to, did I see that they wanted to put them on the side there?
No, they want to put them right in front of that oyster sign.
Yeah, the previous approval had them
For
in
storage?
Yeah, they're on the public sidewalk. They would push them up adjacent to the building, lock them.
Others do the same. I mean, if they're
Yeah,
secured correctly,
okay.
I think that's okay.
Okay, I don't know why I thought they were going
Yeah.
on to the side, because
The
I was just gonna
previous
say,
case
it would
had 'em
need
on
to
the
be-
side.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, and if they want to do that, I just would like that to be an opaque gate there, so you don't have to look at it, it's just, you know. But, that, and then, now amplified music there,
I will let the applicant discuss his business
Yeah,
plan with you.
because I
There's
know
been
that
outside
that's-
music there.
Pardon?
There's been outside music.
Yeah, there
on
has
the
been,
sidewalk.
yeah, that's where some of the issues were.
All right, thank you. Yeah, just state your name.
Joseph Bennett.
Yeah, how do you feel about the tables? I mean, I think that's where, is that something with the hours that they would stay? Because the hours of operation there seem to change depending when I drive by the sign so far.
Oh, drastically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those changed drastically. We're definitely more of a restaurant, which is where we're pushing that to go.
Right.
With those 3 tables, the current tables are still there until our chairs come in, which will be sometime in the next few days. The plan is to keep those wooden tables without the benches and then have the chairs come inside, actually, the building, is what they actually
So
told
you'll
us.
stack the tables somehow, or?
Tables just go up against the wall. They're really heavy.
Yeah, but 3 of them or 2 of them?
There's 3 of them. There's one on the gate
So you're saying
side.
every night you'd slide them over in front of
Correct.
the wall with no chairs, nowhere to sit? No.
Correct.
Because I did go by the other day when it was pouring down rain, and there was a young man sitting on it. Looked like there was something wrong with him.
100%.
And his laptop and his phone were on the ground, and it was pouring down rain when you were closed.
Yep. I
So
actually called
that's-
Officer Siniglio.
Yeah, that was one of the things where if they don't have that access.
Yep.
Now, during business hours, your staff would say, you ordering food or you moving on?
Correct.
And this wasn't the typical person. This was a young man that looked something was wrong.
That's the reason why I called Officer Siniglio.
Right, yeah, so you don't sleep like that.
No, not at all.
In pouring down rain.
No, definitely not.
So, so I don't know, what are your hours of operation now?
So currently, we close on Mondays. Currently, we open at 4 p.m. Daily, except for on Saturday and Sunday. Currently, throughout the week, we close at 10. Fridays and Saturdays, we stay open late, food till midnight. And then Sunday, we open at 11. Saturday morning, we open at 11 also, sorry.
So what are you Friday and Saturday?
We serve food until midnight.
Okay, but you're open at 4 still on Friday?
Yes, yes, sir.
4 p.m. to midnight Friday. And then Saturday you open earlier?
Yes, sir, 11 o'clock.
Saturday 11 to midnight? 11, okay.
It's food sales, 11 to midnight.
Okay.
Technically, that we can still stay open past that because of our liquor license that we currently have there.
Well, so let me ask this question to planning. With our after midnight permit, this is a new business. Does he have to come in and get that? So right now, your restaurant can only stay open bar till midnight.
Currently, it's the same business operating just under a different DBA.
it's changed, so I don't know. Ms. Singer can answer that question.
The after midnight permit runs with the business. So every business, new or old.
We'll have to come in and get an after midnight permit.
Yeah.
So this is a new business?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Just so everybody's
Just
clear.
to clarify, Mayor, it's the same liquor license and same entity.
But it's a different business.
Just the DBA has changed.
So we'll can legally go through that, but that can be figured out later, but it might be. So you're going to serve food till midnight, then it turns into a bar from midnight to 2.
Not really. We close down as soon as the last customer eats.
All right. What about when will the tables be gathered up?
As soon as the last customer leaves, we'll gather those tables.
But it could be up
against the wall.
till after midnight.
Highly doubt it goes past 1 o'clock, honestly.
I saw Ms. Coker and then Ms. Moore.
No.
Ms. Moore, go ahead.
I just don't want to get too bogged down in the nature of his business because I don't think that's enforceable. I mean, I think we need to determine whether we want any tables out. We can set the time. So if we don't want tables out there after midnight, then we just have to say the special permit is only for up till midnight.
And that's what I'm trying to get to. When the
Right.
tables would be moved, because that seems to be where we've had the issues in the past of what's happening with certain things.
Right.
And, if you get places for people to sit and hang out when the business is closed, then it's a problem. So the tables need to be, and we also want to make it easy for them to understand it and our code enforcement or our police officers, because a lot of the questions we've had come up with all of this, and why I thought it was important to bring all of this forward a year and a half ago, whenever we started, was that, well, the police department said it's not us, code enforcement said it's not us, but we were still having issues. So we need to clarify who's going to be making sure if there's an issue. I don't know if we need to have in the police department, a code enforcement person, and then also the fire department said, we can't do anything because of something happening, but they could pull the meter if it was an issue. So those things we're trying to clarify so he can run a great business, make money, and we can be happy with it. And none of our staff, including our police department or anybody, gets hurt.
To clarify, my tables are actually on my property. That's private property right there, those tables.
The right way.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The one thing I just checked on it, you're not currently under a business trespass. If you all decide you want to leave those tables out, what we would ask him to apply to the business trespass program to give us the opportunity if people are sleeping on there at night.
We don't have to go through
Then
the
we
hoop.
can act independently and
Oh, absolutely.
remove them from the property. And so regardless, you really ought to be on that program. So if you can contact Sergeant or Officer Siniglia. to do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I believe I already was, honestly.
He
don't know
just
if
checked, you're not.
Yeah, that's
so,
crazy to me. Okay,
Yeah,
no
we
problem.
want you on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a problem with moving the tables back, but again, that was a sidewalk we built. We did it all. I don't know all the legal stuff with it. When that sidewalk was redone, the city
Yeah.
redid it.
I had to sign off on them allowing the concrete to go all the way up to the building.
All right, so, questions on that? We know that the tables have been clarified. I mean, the drawing is what we've allowed to come with every other one, so it's hard to, again, we didn't want to cost you any money.
Appreciate that.
And we didn't want to, that's why we're doing all of this for no expense. But we also want the consistency and happiness of what the community had showed us, and other businesses on the main streets have talked to us over the years about image. Ms. Coker, did you have something before you?
No, I already.
Oh, got it, okay.
I think I asked
Yeah.
about the amplified music.
Yeah, oh, no, so what did they say about the amplified music? It's not part of this, but there has been a guy out playing on that.
Not recently, not since we've opened this. We do have somebody coming in Friday nights from 5 to 8.
In the
Early
bar.
Acoustic in the bar.
And I have no problem
Yeah,
with
that's
that.
not outside,
Not
yeah.
outside, so,
Just acoustic.
yeah.
But aren't there speakers on the outside?
On the side of the patio, on my side of the patio.
Oh, okay.
And again, if that got too loud, then we'd have to figure that out, which he would be working out. so.
Listen, I'm not here against the city, guys. I'm trying to help the city. Hence the reason why I made it a restaurant.
Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr.
I
Perry.
think it was a restaurant before. Mexican
Years
restaurant.
ago.
Yeah, Boozer?
No, sir. It had a food trailer in the back.
Oh, the food service trailer was back there. Yeah, that's correct. I just don't want, I appreciate Mr. Bennett coming in and trying to work in partnership with the city, and we certainly want to support him to be a successful business within the spirit of what the city's trying to do downtown. As it relates to, not focusing on the business, I kind of get where Councilwoman Gonzalez-Moore is coming from, but we're here to talk about land use right now, and unfortunately, sometimes that land use permission does kind of relate to the business. And I know that in the past, with the food service truck in the back that apparently wasn't a restaurant, it was a bar, but that in those cases, there would be DJs that would kind of get out on social media things, and we would get crowds in there. And some of the videos that were shown that summer of crowds in there, it looked like flash mobs and problems with the police and things of that nature. And that's what we don't want. I don't think Mr. Bennett wants it either. I would hope not.
It's the reason why I shut it down.
So long as we're tight enough on that, because I don't want to have to go back to court on a nuisance violation or something else to the circuit court, trying to restrict what permissions the city has provided under the land use code. And that's where we would end up conceivably. That's why I think it's really important to be quite precise in what you're permitting, how you're permitting it, and when you're permitting it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So now that you're not using the food truck or what have you in the back,
Yes, ma'am.
your food is being prepared inside?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And what we are is, we're I guess you can say a raw bar in that aspect, or a steamer bar. So we do clam, shrimp, mussels in a steamer, or it's raw.
So, but not like a commercial kitchen or anything?
No, ma'am.
So is there any concerns? Obviously, so you're keeping the wood tables, you're just cutting the seats off them,
Correct.
and then you're bringing in chairs to go up to them. And is that the configuration you'll normally have?
Yes, sir.
But then at night, you'll push them up against the wall, I would imagine, because people would think it'd sit on top of them if they're just, but you'll chain them up, or you'll
Yes, sir.
lock them up where nobody will be able to sit on anything. There'll be no flat surface.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Correct.
just tip them, and I don't know, I'm just trying to figure that out. But that would be no flat surface.
I'll probably end up bringing them into the patio, honestly, at
That
this
would be
point.
that easier for you.
Would that be okay with the applicant if we kind of put that in there?
Absolutely.
Put them,
That would be helpful for us, it would.
Absolutely.
Yep.
so they would be moved in non-business hours into the
Closed area.
closed area. But by midnight, to last person sitting on that at midnight eating, because you don't want people sitting out there after midnight anyway.
Oh, no, sir. I mean, once the restaurant closes, everything will be put away.
So if we add stipulation that all tables will be cleaned up by midnight or as last person eats at midnight.
No problem.
So how does that, Greg, do we have to write that in? You want to write that up for us? Yep, all right. Mr. Rudisell, do you see any other issues with this, or if we were able to add that stipulation?
No, I mean, remember, we've talked about a lot of issues. All we're regulating here is these tables
Right.
on the public sidewalk, and so I think we've got the additional
And he agreed to
stipulations.
move them into the side of the building, behind I guess there's a gate there.
Right, we need to work on that, see that language and hear it, so everybody is in agreement, but,
Should we continue this one as well?
I mean, I think we probably, if we took like a 5-minute recess, I mean, it's 10:15 anyways, if we took like a 5-minute recess, we could.
Well, why don't we, it's 10:20 almost now, why don't we go to 10:30? That'll give them a little more than 10 minutes. Everybody can have a bathroom break or whatever else. So, all right, so we'll take a recess till approximately 10:30. Thank you.
Okay, I
Missing
appreciate
one.
it.
Do we have a quorum?
All right, Mr. DeLong.
Yeah, so in this case, we did modify stipulation C and change the 2 tables and chairs shall be removed from the public sidewalk by midnight or when the last outside dining customer has left, whichever comes first. The tables may be moved to the patio area on the south side of the building. So
What is maybe, because he said he has the public sidewalk is part of his property by the building.
I'm not sure where the right-of-way actually ends,
Right.
so this would cover that area too.
To the right of way, okay. All right, so it would be, the tables will be moved
Yeah, we
to
can
the
change that.
patio. Yeah,
We'll change it. Not a problem.
and again, it's not for him as much as if another owner comes in.
Yep.
Because we said this does run with the property now forever?
Mhm.
Yeah, so who?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
Oh,
Does that satisfy?
Mr. Mayor, if we could
Sorry.
just bring the applicant up on the record to say they're in agreement with that
All right.
language.
Yes, sir, I am.
Please just state name.
Joseph Bennett, yes, sir, I am.
Okay. All right. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve with stipulations. Resolution 2558. All right, we got a motion by Ms. Coachman. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, so discussion. Ms. Moore, what was, C was changed, the tables will be moved to the patio area on the south side of the building. So they will be off of the main front there. And I think we'll,
And can we have the enclosed patio area? Would there be any objection to that modification? I think that's what we had talked about.
does it say on the south side of the building, yeah? Yeah, is there any objection to that from the motioner in the second, to the enclosed area?
Just because you never know who's going to be there in the future.
Right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Are you?
All right, so the motioner and the seconder is okay with that. Is the applicant okay with that? Because it's already enclosed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 3. It's not no 3, so 4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Okay, carries 4-0. I'm just getting, and obviously Ward 3, Vice Mayor Kramer is excused today, which will be sworn in a few weeks. All right, Mr. DeLong.
All right. Got 2 more to go. Again, this will be a summarized presentation. Oops, sorry. Again, Greg DeLong, Assistant Director, Planning Community Development. This is Resolution 25-59. This is for a sidewalk cafe with alcoholic beverages at 436 12th Street West. Again, here's just some basic case information on this one. This is for Craft Tales. Here's the location map. Zoning is T5. Future land use, again, is urban core. Here's the definition again of a sidewalk cafe per the form-based code. Basically an area outside of a cafe or restaurant where seating with tables is adjacent to that use for the extended service of that primary use. Form-based code again allows sidewalk cafes without alcoholic beverage sales as a permitted use in the T5 zoning district. But since the request is for alcoholic beverage sales in the cafe area, the outside cafe area, it does kick it over to a special use request for Planning Commission review and City Council approval. Currently, there is no outdoor furniture for this location. This will be new furniture that he would be purchasing, so I did not have a photo of any furniture outside. This furniture will all be removed at the end of the day and brought inside. It contains a sofa, 2 outdoor chairs, a table. You can see the layout here with the chairs on the side, the table here in the middle, and then the sofa area here. There is no outdoor busing or hostess stations. Traversable area is about 15 feet 6 inches, and as I mentioned previously, this furniture will be stored indoors. City Council is encouraged again to evaluate the request based on the provided criteria, as well as input from the staff, the applicant, and the public. It is in staff's opinion the request is found to be consistent with the intent of 3.3.2.5 of the land use regulations and the design element of the comprehensive plan. And as previously stated today, the comprehensive plan does encourage sidewalk cafes in the downtown area. Planning Commission met on May 21st, 2025, and recommended to City Council approval by a vote of 5-0 of Resolution 25-59 with the following stipulations. that the approved site plan be on display and accessible on property during business hours. Letter B, again, the indemnification agreement shall be executed within 30 days. Letter C, clear access, pedestrian access on the public sidewalk be no less than 5 feet and needs to be maintained at all times. Letter D, that the property and business owner shall obtain all necessary state licenses permitting the sale of alcohol as part of the sidewalk cafe. E, that any cleaning solution be approved by Public Works. And letter F, that any future increase in seating for this outside seating or sidewalk cafe area be approved by City Council. And that is all I have on this one. Any questions for me?
And we have no picture of what the furniture is that's ordered, or is it already from the applicant? And please, just state your name again for the record. And then,
It's Joseph Bennett.
and you've been sworn.
Yes, sir. No, we haven't purchased anything yet. It's your typical, outdoor patio, lounge
Wicker
chair.
type thing that's light and easy to move
Correct.
in and out and all that.
Correct.
Will it be possibly here within the 30 days of this going?
I mean, he may or may not order it.
Needs to be.
Okay, I'm just saying.
What do you mean, for the 30 days of, that's what, to get his indemnification stuff, I think, isn't it?
Because it
Yeah.
may come too large or something.
Yeah, it was nothing, yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't impede the sidewalk, and, yeah, it'd be good. Ms. Moore?
I just don't understand the picture. So, out in the front of Craft Tales, are you talking about putting a couch, like, away from the building?
Yes, ma'am.
At the back,
Facing-
if you're sitting at the couch, the street would be behind you.
Oh,
Because that's the biggest area of sidewalk that we have anywhere downtown.
okay.
I don't think anybody's ever really thought about couch and chairs, like a couch and chairs.
But it'll probably be nice to break it up and not
I
just have
think-
a
yeah, I
speakeasy
think-
chair.
It does.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean,
I think it sounds good.
You know, and obviously it's got to look good, and I'm envisioning it's probably that plastic wicker type stuff that's sewn that.
Not wicker, but yes.
But not wicker, but that that looks like that.
Yes.
The cross, where, because if it rains, nothing happens to it though.
Correct.
Technically, the cushions, but,
Correct.
I mean, so it'd be like a couch, chair, table, so people can hang out, go in, come out, yeah.
Just like something you would have on your back patio.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we're trying to, the walking, the envisioning things. And the only thing I see that could become an issue is everybody sitting there, people that are walking on the sidewalk, it's gonna be,
I'm
that,
thinking it's gonna get tight,
right. But I'm not saying that it's an issue that, because you have a, what do you call it there? You have a security guard there, and the people have the access to walk on the sidewalk if they're not visiting your business.
Yeah, there's like a 3.5 foot area between the
Yeah, that
front
little
door to the
area.
wall where
Right.
he stands.
Yeah, where he stands, so he's
Yeah.
fine.
And then
but
the
if somebody
pathway,
wants to
though,
walk,
there is, you pull that up for me? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
yeah, we have a bigger
Yeah.
drawing in the.
Can't see what I wrote on this being so
I
small.
know, it's so
Like 19
hard to see
feet.
it on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, there's 19 feet from the actual building all the way, 19
And
foot 3
15
inches.
feet, yeah, you see there.
Okay.
So it's
15
15
I think
feet to the
it's-
chair to that walkway.
That is kind of what we're trying to bring in a positive light. Yeah, so-
I like that. I like it.
All right, any other questions of the applicant? And Scott, I did not go to the public hearing on the last one, so do we need to circle back?
Yeah, it'd probably be a good idea just for the record.
Record, okay, I just remembered that, so.
I mean, I don't know that we have anybody.
There's nobody in the audience other than the applicant and our staff and Kurt. So, but we can open it up. All right, I don't think there's any
this one
questions.
first.
Yeah, let's finish this one, we'll circle back.
Just a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because again, this is not business specific, should we, and this is a little different because it's the couch, do we need to be specific, like it should be, at least a size parameter?
He's got a
It seems like
size on
previously
it.
we've been very specific, like 3 chairs, 20 seats,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, this one does say, I think it says 1 couch and 2 chairs and a table, and
And it's got the sizes of them
Okay.
in the
it's
drawing.
dimensioned on the,
So
Okay.
It can't be any bigger than
Than
that.
that,
Then
okay.
if we could make smaller in the future, but
Right.
if all of a sudden a 20-foot couch showed up there, we'd say, wait a minute, but it might look cool, who knows? Now you don't need tables at the cafe.
There you go.
But, all right, so no, I think that, so, all right, well, if there's no other questions, I'll go to the public hearing. All right, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak on Resolution 2559? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and the chair will entertain a motion to approve 2559 as presented with the stipulations.
With the stipulations?
Do we-
Because I think
Yeah.
Ms. Moore said so moved, but.
Yep, but with the stipulations.
Yeah,
Move to approve resolution 25.
59.
59
All right.
with the recommended stipulations.
Second by Ms. Coachman. Anything else, Mr. Rudisil, before we, that's good on that one. All right, so we'll start the vote in Ward 5.
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
4.
Yes.
Approved 4-0. All right, Mr. Rudisil, how do we rectify?
Mr. Mayor, I think you just go back and reopen the public hearing for 25-58.
If there's any-
Ask if there's any public comment.
All right, we're going to circle back to 2558 and open the public hearing. Is anyone wishing to speak on 2558? On 2558, anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll close that public hearing. And moving forward, all right, Mr. DeLong.
All right, Greg DeLong, Assistant Director, Planning Community Development, and I have been sworn. This will be our final case today on sidewalk cafes. This is Resolution 25-60, and this is for a sidewalk cafe with alcoholic beverages at 430 12th Street West, which is Poor Decisions. Here is just some basic case information about the property in general. As you can see, it is in the T5 Urban Center with the future land use of urban core, and it is a bar lounge with alcoholic beverage sales. Here is a location map showing the location of the Poor Decisions, and here is a zoning map with a T5 and a future land use of urban core. And here's just the definition of a sidewalk cafe per the form-based code. It's under 12.1.d, Roman numeral 6. Again, these are out of the form-based code. It talks about sidewalk cafes being a permitted use if there's less than 20 seats, unless there's alcoholic beverage sales, which then kicks it over to a special use, which requires planning commission review and city council approval. Here is a photo of the existing furniture outside. I did have a conversation with the applicant previously about the area between this lamp post and the current table or setup here, making sure that has to be 5 feet and also get the item off of the water meter box in the public street. So he may have to do some reorganizing of the furniture unless city council feels there's a different type of furniture you would like to see placed on this property. Here is the area that is in place. Again, it's 3 tables with each table having 4 built-in seats for a total of 12 seats. No busing or hostess stations. There will be a minimum of 7 feet of traversable space, which meets the code and ADA requirements. The applicant is requesting permission to leave the 3 tables with built-in seats on the public sidewalk after the business hours or after the business does close. Again, City Council is encouraged to evaluate the request based on the provided criteria as well as input from staff, the applicant, and the public. It is in staff's opinion, the request is found to be consistent with the intent of section 3.3.2.5 of the land use regulations and the design element of the comprehensive plan, which again mentions and states that sidewalk cafes are encouraged in the downtown area. Planning Commission met on May 21st, 2025 and recommended to City Council approval by a vote of 5-0 of Resolution 25-60. And the stipulations are as follows, and these look very familiar to you because most of them have been previously reviewed in the prior 3 cases. This is basically that the approved site plan be available during business hours. That's under letter A. Letter B, within 30 days that the property owner execute the indemnification agreement with the city. Letter C, that no more than 3 tables with the 4 built-in seats may remain on the public sidewalk when the business is closed. Letter D talks about the 5 feet minimum of traversable space on the public sidewalk. That needs to be clear. Letter E, that the property owner shall obtain all state licenses permitting the sale of alcohol as part of the sidewalk cafe. Letter F, that any cleaning solution used on the sidewalk be approved by Bradenton Public Works. And letter G, that any future increase in seating for the sidewalk cafe shall be approved by City Council. And that is all I have on this case. If you have any quick questions for me, otherwise I'll turn it over to Mr. Bennett.
Questions for Mr. DeLong? Ms.
I have a
Coker?
question that just kind of occurred to me, and this is, at one point, we purchased some special equipment for cleaning sidewalks. How does that work? When does it occur? And how are we going to coordinate with furnishing? Because there's not going to be a lot of room for that equipment.
Right, well, so no, the equipment that we purchased originally, I'll take this one, Mr.
Oh, it's not
Williams,
working.
is no longer in use for the sidewalk cleaning.
Okay.
If you see, there's a truck parked out there that's got a tank on it and pressure washing.
Okay.
So our DAT team is taking care of that in a different way, and they notify the business owners when certain things are being done, so that's a process that's happening. But, yeah, that Zambelli, whatever it was called,
Call it a Zamboni. but-
right, whatever it was called, didn't work, I think, to the specs. It's easier just to have the truck come with the pressure washers and the guys cleaning. So that will be part of it. I think the elephant in the room right now is those 3 tables. Everybody else has had to move or gather it up. I still think that should be a requirement if that's not the type of tables, because those just showed up one day, and that started a lot of conversation on the street. And if you look at those now, they're broken, they're dirty, and they do leave the access, as we talked about. People can sit 24/7, and that's not the whole goal. You know, at night, they should be able to be gathered up. And I know that's a tougher thing with those. I don't know if it's even possible, but I think I have no problem with the 3 tables and 4 seatings, but, you know, they need to be able to be gathered up at night like everybody else has to do. And if you look right across the street, O'Bricks has high tops with chairs that they gather up in the middle of the night and do it that could possibly be used. But that's an issue, I think, that, you know, and again, that's not the biggest area. It's a little farther down, but that's still a big area, you know, compared to some. So I have thoughts on that. Ms. Barnaby?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to try to get through this without sounding like I belong in a TB ward. I'm sorry, those tables are very sad looking. They really are. Well, I would like to, I'm sorry, can I ask Mr. Bennett to come up?
Yes,
yet,
if,
or-
just state your name again for the record, and you've been sworn.
Should be used to this by now. Joe Bennett.
And you have been sworn.
Yes, sir.
I would like to see something a little more in keeping with what the other merchants have done and what you've agreed to do in some of the other areas.
Okay.
I just find those sad.
Yeah, I didn't want to replace him until after this meeting, so.
So we have no problem with 3 tables with 4 seats.
If we could continue it, I'll just draw something else up and reapply.
Is that what we want to do? Continue and maybe get a picture of what you're thinking?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Rudisell, should I go to the public hearing just in case? Before, I'll let Ms. Moore talk first, but do a public hearing and then continue it, or just continue it?
I think you could do it either way, but it'd probably best to just let the council people speak and then go to the public hearing like we normally would, and then we can continue it.
Okay, I got Ms. Moore and then Mr. Perry.
What I'm wondering is, more generally speaking, are we moving towards wanting something more consistent, like removable furniture that can be pushed up? Or do we just want, and maybe we already have, some kind of maintenance requirements so that if you grant a special permit for the use of the tables, but they become deteriorated and unseemly, we can then say you need to clean up your tables? But we might want to make them lightweight, just generally speaking, but I feel like we should kind of figure out what we want to do.
I can definitely see that these would be difficult to move on a daily basis. I absolutely understand that. And I think if we can encourage Mr. Bennett to come up with something that could either be pushed together and locked up
Or taken inside.
or taken inside. I think, I mean, just for me personally, having them being taken inside means they're less likely to become a problem of somebody else's poor choice becoming your problem.
At poor decision.
You shot them many times.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or choice at poor decision.
I,
The medication's working on it.
yes, I didn't mean it that way.
It's going to make a great T-shirt.
Yeah. Put her face on the back and that on the front. That'd be a lot of money. Mr. Perry.
I was just going to ask the same question that the two counselors had referred to, as far as whether they could be removable. And I don't know if you want high tops or regular tables, if that matters at all.
I think that's his decision.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
And Ms.
I think so
Coachman?
too, and I'm really looking forward to what you come up with, because, I mean, that couch and all that idea was a great idea, I thought so.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go to public hearing if there's no other questions, and then we'll continue it. All right, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and we will get a motion to continue this to July 23rd.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Ms. Barnaby?
And Mr. Mayor, Councilor Barnaby, would there be any direction to the planning department to work with Mr. Bennett as it relates to getting some photographs or other depictions of what the tables would look like as relates, and then also whether they'll have to be removable
Yeah.
tonight, or else otherwise stored in a
Either stored together or inside, and
But
3
again,
tables with 12 seats, so.
For me personally, I'd like to see them off the street because I
That's a
think
tight-
they
that is
will
a
last
tighter area,
longer.
yeah. If it's easy, depending what
Yeah.
you get, so. So that's the direction.
second it.
All right, we got a second by Ms. Coker. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5.
Yes.
Carries 4-0. Thank you.
To perfect the record, do you want to ask Mr. Bennett if he's okay with the continuance?
He's the one that brought it up.
He did bring it up, you're right.
Yeah.
Didn't go unnoticed, but
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay with the continuance, thank you. All right, we'll look forward to getting it all straightened out.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, Madam Clerk.
Item 7E is the first reading for ordinance 4054, an ordinance of the City of Bradenton, Florida, amending Chapter 18, Article 9, Section 18-240 of the Code of Ordinances to adopt by reference the 2024 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, amending Chapter 18, Article 9 to add a new Section 18-242 to adopt minimum maintenance standards, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances and conflict, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. And the second reading and public hearing are scheduled for July 23rd.
Okay, anything else we need to do on this? Any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move to the next.
Item 7F is the first reading for ordinance 4061, an ordinance of the City of Bradenton, Florida, annexing into the City of Bradenton certain real property contiguous thereto, generally located east of First Street East, north of US 301, and south of the CSX Railway, identified as parcel ID 4687-90059 and 4633211009, and more particularly described herein, containing approximately 32.39 acres and owned by the City of Bradenton, providing for findings of fact, providing for amendment of the city boundaries, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. and the second reading and public hearing for ordinance 4061 are scheduled for July 23rd.
Mr. Perry, did you want to say anything?
Briefly, Mayor, for the benefit of council and anyone else, this basically is the ordinance that is required to begin the voluntary annexation process for the property that we purchased from Tropicana for Public Works. And ultimately, it's been put together by Ms. Singer and Mr. DeLong. They've looked at the various statutory requirements that are necessary. I have had discussions, as well as you, with the county as it relates to their consent for that annexation, and we do believe that ultimately, at least from an administrative perspective, that we've gotten positive signals from them. It'll have to go before them ultimately, and it will expedite, obviously, being a voluntary annexation.
Questions? Hearing none, we'll do more on the 23rd. Thank you. New business? Anything else before we get to that, Ms. Melton?
No, sir.
All right, so I'd ask this to be put on. Obviously, July, we're going to have a vacancy. Talked with Mr. Rudisell. There really wasn't a lot to talk about. The council decides that. We can't talk about this outside of this meeting. With four-member board now, obviously, I would be the tie-breaking vote if something comes up. So I thought that a process would be good, opening it up, and I'll wait to hear from each council person, and you guys can decide kind of the process. But I thought maybe we put it out there to see who's interested, send in a resume or show your interest, and then maybe open it up basically today, and then close it about July 9th, and then on the 23rd meeting, discuss how you want to go forward. So, I mean, is there any comments or concerns or questions or ideas? I mean, because ultimately you could make a motion right now and say we're picking this person and second and vote for it, and it could pass or fail.
Well, technically, we don't have a vacancy right now, but.
Right, but I'm saying until that, but if we get out there that it's coming.
Yes,
You
but
know,
on the
effective
23rd, there are no legal requirements really as to what the process is. It's totally up to the city council how they wish to pursue appointment of the, that vacant seat. The only requirements in the charter are that the council member has to be a qualified elector and a resident of the ward which they represent. So, however the council would like to proceed.
So what I said about possibly putting it out, that, and I don't know how we'd put it out, I'm going to figure that out, but get it out there, hey, there's going to be an opening out in July in Ward 3, you know, send in your, yes, ma'am. You, Ms. Coachman.
Okay. Well, last time this happened, I was an observer. I wasn't on council, but I do recall that Councilwoman Barnaby and two or three other, three, I thought, yeah, three, there were four gentlemen. I don't know how they came about. I mean, I was at the meeting and I just saw them each present themselves and, you know, explain why they would be good for it.
They explained why they wanted a process to go through.
Right.
To give the opportunity, but the council at that time said no.
Yeah,
we're
they
going
just
forward.
they just went forward, and they went with the one that could hit the ground running, as I recall. So the stipulation is that they have to at least be in Ward 3.
And send in their application and see.
I mean, maybe the former Ward 3 would want to
They
be
have
in the
to-
bunch.
yeah, they
I
have to
know.
apply, right. Yes, ma'am.
I kind of do like the idea of each person getting up and just, you know, introducing themselves and what
Well,
they're
they can-
interested in.
If they send in a resume to the clerk's office, then it can be disseminated amongst the council, and then you have a little information about that person. and
Are we
then-
allowed to talk to them?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any restrictions on it. They're not a member of the council. They're not running for election, so
So
no
you could-
prohibition
You could
from
do a
us
little bit
sunshine.
of research and then.
Or just meet with them, have a cup of
Yeah,
coffee and.
And then on July 23rd, either say we've, you know, so-and-so, one of you can say it, the other one, you
Well, the
know.
problem is I like everybody now and I don't want somebody I don't like. Up
But at least it gives a process out there for people to send in their resume and then see what comes out of it. We may get 1, 2, 10, who knows? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to clarify, so the requirements are just that they live in Ward 3 at this moment in time? There's no requirement for back, like at qualification or time or? So they just have to live in Ward 3 at this time? They can move there tomorrow and apply?
Correct.
Okay.
As long as they have a legal address in Ward 3.
Okay.
And I think they have to be registered to vote at that.
Yes,
Your
qualified
voter
elector-
registration has to be that.
Which
Yes,
that
qualified
takes-
elector means they have to be
that
registered to vote in the city.
I'm just saying.
So it
Can't
could be
wait.
someone that implanted themselves
Oh, yeah.
today. But that's not, when we're
Then-
running as candidates, it has to be a time
6
frame.
months, yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
You have to, yeah.
Before you take off.
Ms.
Right.
Moore and then Mr. Perry.
I feel like it's a good idea to let people know that. I think there's a lot of, when Mr. Perry and I spoke on the phone yesterday, I let him know that I have had people ask me, not necessarily because they were interested, but because I think there's a lot of confusion about the process and the requirements. So I think if we could do a press release or something that said, this is what it is, and these are the things that you need to have, I feel like that's the most fair.
Because it'll say we won't have an opening until July 8th or 7th, what is Monday? I keep getting that messed up. Because Councilman, Vice Mayor Kramer will resign on July 7th, and then we'll have the opening.
So would we have a special meeting? Or?
No, we'll do it at the
Just
July
at the next
23rd meeting. There's nothing going on. We did, when we set the schedule, we said unless an emergency came up, we would try not to have special meetings. Yes, sir, Mr. Perry.
Mayor, just taking into consideration some of the comments by council that I've had with councilors, as well as their public comments today, and Mr. Rudicel's kind of overview as well, just for purposes of the process, what we may want to do is a public notice of a potential vacancy and a request that any individual that's interesting would have to meet the criteria of being a qualified electorate from the ward that has the vacancy, and that they should provide probably 2 things. One would be a brief statement of interest and their qualifications for the position. And really, we try to get that by a certain date if possible.
July,
Yeah.
I think we put July 9th.
Direct it to the city clerk, who could then distribute it to you all as council and elected officials a couple of days in advance at least, in order to consider those people. You'll probably get some questions about, can we talk with you, things like that. And then ultimately, when you come to council, it would be probably a nomination process, and then you'll have to figure out whether you want to rank or whether, how you want to do it as far as the ultimate selection goes. Right. And obviously the sunshine implications of all that.
Yeah.
But I definitely think we should probably put something out as a legal notice. A newspaper, as well as on our website at a minimum, and anything else that you all would suggest as appropriate. And that way, I think you're letting the public know that even though the charter vis-a-vis doesn't have a specific mechanism for the process, that you're following a process that makes sense and it's transparent and that type of, and it's there's deliberate consideration for it.
For timing, we thought possibly, June 12th through July 9th would be an open, it gives a lot of time. And then from July 9th till July 23rd, the council would have the access to those individuals that sent stuff in, and obviously, I thought we could meet with them, but you can, if you want to reach out to people and get information. Does that sound good? Do we need a motion for that, or is that just something we can direct?
No, I think you can just direct staff to proceed with the...
Ms. Barnaby?
Well, being as I'm someone who actually lived that at one point, it was really interesting because I found out about the vacancy through the press. They called me.
Oh.
I had no idea. I think it's important that we do it as open and transparent as possible. And I would say to all of us up here to be very cognizant and circumspect when you are discussing this with anyone that may call you. I would not, I'm not sure exactly how I want to say this. I think a lot of times people think that people in office play games and make deals all the time. I don't think this council does that. I don't think this mayor does that. So I would just want to say that be very, very cautious when you're speaking with someone on the phone, that they may take something that you say and apply it in a different way.
That's why I thought it was important to give a time frame for people to turn stuff in, and then maybe on the July 9th date, then the clerk would disseminate everything at once. So from now till July 9th, you're not getting one at a time, and then people are reaching out to you. It'd be better to get it on one day, and July 9th till July 23rd is a lot of time, so relatively.
Would you like Ms. Shattuck to do a press release that the media would get? Because if she does that, you'll probably see it in the newspaper.
Right.
Or,
This is something
there's a vacancy.
newsworthy for us, right?
And I don't want her just doing it without getting direction from
Yeah, no, I
council
think that's
or
perfect.
not doing it.
And
without
just so
direction.
we're clear, the previous counselor was a Seminole, so we kind of need.
Hey, what's wrong with that?
Hey, we could be diverse. We could have somebody that, went
We
to
already are.
went to
No,
Michigan or went to Ohio State.
All right, so we'll get that direction going forward, and then have more on July 9th. All right, unfinished business, Mr. Perry.
No, sir.
All right, council reports, starting in Ward 1.
Well, you're going to be happy. Mine's very short. The heat is on. Everybody stay cool and stay hydrated. I don't really have anything
All right.
else to report.
Ward 2, Ms. Barnaby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We now know that school is out. We see kids out and about and doing more things. Just asking everyone to be a little patient on the roadways, particularly with kids on bikes or new drivers, newly minted drivers, because I've seen some really interesting things recently. The other thing is that looking at the list of those individuals that were involved in our community and are no longer with us recently, Cynthia Newell was an advocate for her community and for our city. Marjorie Martini worked over at Art Center Manatee and was involved in the fundraising for the new building. Leonore Bunny Schneider was a teacher at Manatee High for over 20 years. Reverend Don Roberts was the CEO of Goodwill and did a lot of work there. And then, of course, many of us knew Bunny Garst, who lived here for a long, long time. And I guess somebody asked me why I do this, and I do it to show respect. I do it to show the families that we are still thinking about them. And I kind of hope I encourage some younger people to realize they've got a little bit of looking up and stepping up. So that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
I also don't have a real lengthy report. I've been out of town, so I feel like I'm kind of just coming back into reality. But our conversation earlier with the quasi judicial things makes me wonder if we would like to consider having. Now I've lost my notes. Consider having another workshop regarding maybe standards we want for downtown as we approve them. I think it would be easier for us if we said we like the removable, the lightweight furniture versus the wood furniture, or hours of operation. Maybe we tie it to the after hours alcohol. If you don't have one of those, you shouldn't really have your tables out after midnight anyway. I think for just some consistency purposes, and also because I feel like downtown is one of our main goals, and I think having conversations about that would only be helpful to us.
Right, and I think that could play into Old Manatee as we try to develop it, grow it down here.
Yeah.
Mr. DeLong and I had a little discussion yesterday, day before, I don't remember, they run together, that why don't we? We need to, so that is on the radar. Good catch there, good job.
Yeah, that would be fun, I think.
Yep.
And I think it would be helpful to us. And then I just want to say, sadness. Happy, sad, bittersweet, as I say. It has been a pleasure to get to know you and your family and work with you. And I wish you all the best in all your endeavors. And I hope this will not be the last time that we, maybe not in a formal setting on the dais, but I hope you will not be a stranger.
Oh, and I forgot this is your last meeting.
I did too.
Well, it's my last meeting up
You can come
here.
make public comment.
Yeah. Maybe on the 23rd, I'll be in flip-flops and a beach hat. I may do public comment.
She did say she might want 3 minutes in public comment.
That's right.
As a citizen.
I welcome that.
All right, Ms. Coachman.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be brief as well. I tend to try to be. Just want to remind everyone, well, even before that, everyone has reminded everyone that school is out. You don't have to remind me at all. This morning was difficult because I, had to really do that early morning rush routine a little bit. I'm glad I don't have to do it tomorrow. So I just want to remind everyone also that the 2025 Manatee Juneteenth Community Festival theme family reunion will be at the 13th Ave Dream Center, June 21st, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. That's an annual event, annual celebration of the history. So I didn't want anyone to forget that. And then, of course, we have Father's Day this month. Is Flag Day already? Yeah. Well, anyway, whatever holidays or whatever special days you have in June, enjoy. I didn't want to say anything about this being your last council meeting because I don't know if I can get through it. You know how you have work friends, like work moms and work dads and work husbands and work wives and all of that. As sad as I am about you leaving, I'm glad I can take the work off of it and just say, my friend, and see you around.
Thank you. Couple things, obviously. Also, at the Juneteenth on the 21st, kind of they're going to have anybody who wants to come from the council at 12:30. So we'll have an opportunity to talk or be, kind of at that time. So anybody that put that on the calendar, it is 12 to 5, but 12:30 is kind of the rah-rah. The Nine Devils celebration is Saturday night, unveiling a plaque out in front of Lecom Park at 4 o'clock. And then the game will have some activities in that. And then next Friday, a week from Friday, the 20th, is the First Responders Night. So that would be a good night for everybody for the Marauders game. So that will be fun.
Who's throwing out the pitch?
Miss Coachman is.
Oh.
Miss Coachman. And then planning. I want to thank planning because several months, if 2 years ago, whatever it was, we started that. And I think we're done now with who's on Main Street. I don't know if there's any more, but 2 more. But that has been a process. And I think what we saw today and continued to, obviously, is the process that we wanted to go through with what we knew now. And we learned things from it. And we did it in a way when it first came out that, oh, it's a money grab, it's a money grab. Well, it was never about the money. It was about getting a downtown that we can drive through and say it's proud of. I am going to put on to code enforcement now where, we have kind of laxed a little bit on that for some of the way some of the businesses look. But we're trying to give them an opportunity with all this new furniture and the different things to step up. But also the awnings, the different things. I think the SIP, the police department's working on, trying to do some of those things. And I know the CRA, has agreed that if they can help some of these businesses with grants or whatever else would move forward to fix it up. Because there's parts of that street, if you drive down and you look to that side, you're like, wow, that's beautiful. But if you drive in, but you look right, it's not. And that's the goal of everything we're doing with all of this. So I'd like to thank planning. while other properties are going to be coming in that are going to be brand new, and as Mrs. Moore said, and as we talked about the other day, let's come up with a policy so it's not where we have to then feel like we're disrespecting anybody, or it's just the policy to make it easier, because, you know, some of us have traveled a little bit and seen all the downtown cafes and the different eclectic type things that it may only have 4 seats out front, but that makes that business that much better. And I would also like the council to think about, for the near future, what our Main Street does look like. Is our Main Street, you know, all parking on the street? Or is there ways to maybe widen the sidewalks a little bit and not have as much parking, you know, right up against the businesses? So where we do come up with some plans. So there's opportunity that we can bring up that will make it a little bit more walkable. And that's what our whole goal is. So what's that next step? We'll have a workshop and we'll come up with some ideas while not hurting the businesses for the traffic. But we also have a great parking garage now that is underutilized at times. And, you know, there's ways to move people. If there is a time at Friday night, you know, you have a movable golf cart that can still get the people there, a drop-off area, and then valet parking that I know sometimes different cities do, and the city helps them do that, whether it's through the city or the CRA. So, but again, to make it more outside seating. Now, this week, in the next couple of months, you might not want to do that, but during the fall, there's opportunity, and I think we can do that. So I really, with all of this, that's a plan that we're going forward while making our city more walkable. Mr. Perry and I have had some meetings with some individuals that hopefully, you know, things are exciting and coming forward, but we want to make from Old Manatee all the way through Riverwalk to downtown. I don't want to say Main Street anymore, because our side streets are now starting to have some. 13th between Manatee and 6th wants to do it, and we've actually reached out to the market. So in the fall, can that street be one of the market streets? You know, somebody said something to me, well, you can't do it because the buses go there. Well, you know what? Buses make right turns. And they can make a right turn onto 6th, a left turn onto 12th, and a left turn onto Manatee Avenue. And you're talking maybe 6 buses for the hours of the market. Don't know if it'll work, but that will make it more fun to walk and have that a part of town. So those things are looking at, which then flows you closer to what? Village of the Arts, which then flows you closer to our future city park. So there's a lot of things that I think that we've got to be looking at. I know we're going to kind of summer break now for us. We have some things. We have a workshop next week. We'll get that to you. Then we are going to truly try to be on summer break, where it's not a summer break for staff and that and people's vacations, but it's going to be where we're not going to have any meetings unless there's an emergency. And we do have one that we have to have the end of June because of a deadline that will help, but we're all set for that. But there will be nothing else on that agenda. It'll be a one agenda item, come in, take care of it, and move on. So that's kind of my planning and different things there. I was able to, obviously, we do a lot of graduations with our police department, and we do a good job for a little 133-person agency. You go up to a 4,000-person agency and see some of the things. And I was honored to be invited, as well as proud to watch, because I met those young men 9 years ago, more than 9 years ago, when their mom was sworn in as our police chief. And now to watch one of them get sworn in as a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and just see the different parts of it. And it was just an honor to be there and see there was 27 of them sworn in. And they have their own academy, so which is a unique situation, and it was very nice. But just to see and meet other people and talk to some people you know, but just to see how people are willing to put their lives on the line sometimes to protect us. And what we had to listen through in public comment this morning was shameful. And it's just not true, and that's why there was no response at the time. It's just not true. And if anything, the mirror should have been on that stand, and what that person was saying was looking in the mirror is what he should have been, because that's what he is doing. And it's almost to the point where it's not worth commenting on anymore. But you do feel like you have to defend yourself at times, and to have a 39-year law enforcement officer that has done everything, has done the reports, just because it's not the way you want it doesn't mean that you get to keep bashing us. And because he disrespected all of us up here, as well as all of our city employees and our city staff and everybody in the city. It's wrong, and if you have a problem, we're going to check into it, or if you have an issue, we're going to check into it. But it's not true. So I just wanted to get on that, but the graduation was such a highlight of the day yesterday, and seeing the people and you know, no alligator tears, but emotion. But that's okay as a mom. So, Chief, you have anything?
I do. No long, teary speech. I've promised myself, because you guys are still stuck with me for like 6 more weeks, I think. I don't know where my office is going to be exactly.
The steps down there, you know.
In about 3 weeks, but I invite you all, give me a call, kind of an open house type thing. I'd love to have some closure with each of you, just to sit down and chat and reflect. And, you know, you talk about friendships. You know, I have a funny story with every one of you. Lisa, you know,
Oh my gosh.
she got a hold of me probably, I don't know, what has it been, right after the storms, and she'd heard about, you know, my pond, and she said, hey, my kids have this fish. It's lived in this little glass bowl its entire existence for years, and can you give this fish a home? And I said, well, I've got nothing else, so sure. And I took in that fish. I was gifted some fish, and then the otter struck, right? And I call her and I say, you know, Lisa, I have bad news for you. The otter cleaned me out, devastating, killed everything. Well, lo and behold, a couple days, I see a little gold, you know, flash in my pond, and that damn Alfred survived.
Hiding under the rocks.
I don't learn much. I think that I have fortified things, and so I get more fish donated to me. And once again, comes the otter. Again, devastating. Call her, yeah, I know he's gone this time because I found carcasses, you know. But sure enough, a week later, I look down there and there's Alfred, and you know, Alfred's all by himself until about 2 months ago when we see babies.
Oh.
And not only that, a lot of people don't know, I fish and wildlife. I'm actually an Amnesty turtle drop-off area. And so I now have a turtle pond and a koi pond and a goldfish pond because of Alfred. And so we will always stay connected because I'm raising your son.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
In my pond. And that's my funny story just with you, but I have one with each of you, and some great memories, great stories, great laughs. And I know you guys are in good hands. You know, the mayor spoke, well, let me get to Glenn Gibellini. He didn't show up today, and you're right, Mayor. I wasn't going to let my last meeting be dealing with Rodney Jones. He doesn't deserve my energy or my breath anymore. Glenn Gibellini, I hope, would show up, because the last meeting he accused us of wrongdoing. He wrote a letter to the governor's office, letter to the attorney general's office, accusing us of criminal acts, so to speak. And I really wanted him to be here today to admit that, in fact, he never had any contact with any Bradenton police officers. The Bradenton Police Department never asked him for his ID. Everything he said was not true. Everything he wrote in the letter to the Attorney General's office concerning us was not true. So I always find it interesting when the truth comes out, then they're not here. And I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. Part of my job with Chief Kramer in that last few weeks not only is to try to spend a lot of time dealing with transition with forms and MOUs and grants and what have you, is helping him. He's been out of it for a few years, and at times Bradenton has been very insulated from the broader law enforcement community. Chad Chronister made it a point yesterday, and he actually in a speech asked me if I'd noticed that. He looked at me. As a commissioner in 2021, he had to call me and ask if I would support the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office becoming their own police academy. I told him I wasn't crazy about the idea, because my fear is always that they're going to put small agencies out of business. But since he was a colleague and a friend, that I would approve that as a commissioner, and in fact, I did. And in that, ironic that those few years later, my son goes through his police academy. And tears of joy yesterday, a good closure for me, a good, see when I started talking about my son, right? That's what, a good handoff. You always know when the time is right. Last year I knew it was approaching. I'd always told everybody, I kept pushing up that finish line, as I've said, that I would never be a 60-year-old woman with 40 years on. At some point, you got to turn it over to the next generation. Tomorrow is my swearing-in anniversary. We always bump ahead. I actually got hired in '86, but I was sworn in '87 on June 12th. And so that will be hitting my 39th year. And I said I'm not going to be a 60-year-old with 40 years on. So, and I'm not quite 60 yet. So it was a good time, and especially with my son, getting that badge pinned on him yesterday, only fitting. We've had a great run. The city's had a great run. The department is in a great place. I know the mayor wants to be able to tout that, but when Chief Kramer gets sworn in, I believe we will be within a couple weeks of being fully staffed. That's only happened twice, I think, when I'm here. And so he's going to be left with, and you guys are going to be left with an agency with quality officers who, I'm proud of. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together as a team. I'm proud of my relationships with you all. Stop by, visit, keep in touch. People look at my phone sometimes. I'm going to have the same phone number, and they see my emails, and they go, "Good God, what does that say next to your email?" And I go, 14,300. And they go, "Don't you erase things?" I go, "No, it's my phone. I keep everything. It's all on here." And I guess people think that's a little weird. I have 14,000 emails on my phone. I'm going to work real hard on getting that down to like 400, right? My future is a little bit of relaxation and understanding what retirement is all about. I have a boat behind my house that I haven't put on the water in about a year. And so these are the things, other than my koi and goldfish and turtle pond, that I'm going to be enjoying. And so thanks for the run. Thanks for the memories. Mayor, thank you for being there yesterday. That was so incredibly special. Everybody mentioned that you being there to support me in my last official act as a police chief was very memorable. So, yeah, I can't wait. One of the things I realized that today when I take this tie off, I am never wearing a damn tie again, right? Women shouldn't wear ties, and that'll be the last time I wear a tie. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can tell you I'm not going to wear polyester, and I'm not going to wear a tie, okay? So, anyway, I appreciate you all, and thank you, and yeah, good luck.
We still got a little bit more time. We're going to have fun. We're going to do the right things as we've done all along. And I think that, you look, whenever there's leadership, whenever there's things that go on and people work together, there's going to be differences at times, but it's not about the differences. It's always about the dash in between it. And, we can learn from those experiences, and we can learn from that dash, but we got to make sure that we're working for the betterment of the people outside of the politics part of it. And that's unfortunately what some of the people that hit us with. And again, I talked about the city councilwoman for Tampa, who also was a teacher, I believe, at one of the high schools there for a lot of years. So she's touched a lot of people's lives, and outside of the politics, because we all can talk about politics of what you believe or don't believe, but it comes down to people putting themselves out and trying to make it better. And that's what you have done for 39 plus years. I heard a few stories yesterday from one of your partners, and I don't think you've changed any if in your leadership role of trying to get what you want no matter what happens, but that's some things that are good and bad at times, but it's about the betterment of the whole thing. So thank you for that. And we'll have more. Obviously, when Chief Kramer's sworn in, there's going to be an event afterwards that is going to be determined on stuff, but it'll probably also be a little bit of a celebration for both, him coming in and you going out, so we'll work on that. All right, I know, Chief Gear, you have anything special? Nothing today? We're getting accredited, everything's going good? Working on that?
Working in that direction, new aerials in town, getting all the equipment mounted. I was telling Mr. Perry it should be for display in next meeting.
Next meeting.
And Station 2 is going well and should be right on time. And so, yeah, we're got
When do we
things happening.
anticipate our firefighters sleeping there, if everything goes well?
August to September.
Okay, just so we know, August to
Yeah,
September, yeah.
somewhere in that range.
All right, nope, perfect. All right, thank you. Anything, Mr. Lee, things going well so far? So far, good. Weather related, it happens a lot, so, all right. Mr. Perry, anything?
Just on the theme of celebration, we have something to celebrate here that hopefully Mindy will be bringing to us. Chief, if you could, well, there we go.
Or what?
It's an individual that we work with who's a great leader, a great boss, and a great friend and person. And so we just want to kind of celebrate your birthday.
you.
We have a card that everybody signed.
Thank you, that's very nice.
With the fire chief here, I wasn't allowed to put any sort of incendiary devices on it. But we want to sing happy birthday, so if you join me.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mayor. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, boss.
And thank you. I'll say.
How old are you?
We can take
A
that
lot
upstairs
longer,
and join
younger.
us. Yep.
59.
No.
Card down here, or do you want the
Take it up, listen, thank you. No, I just think one of the things, and it's been a goal of mine ever since coming here in 2013 and getting on this council and doing all of the things that we do, it's about a team. And again, we talk about it a lot. We can disagree, we can agree, we can politically do different things, but you know what? It comes down to that day that when you have to make that decision on something, and it may not always make everybody happy, but it's that. And if you're in the winning side or the losing side, you'd have to move to that next step and make it better. And I just think that's what this council has done, and I'm proud to be surrounded by all of you, the council, the staff, and I think that's working well. Mr. Rudiso, we'll do what we were going to do next time. We don't have to go through anything else today. Let's end it. But we'll have a workshop and do some things. And then Nilsa has something she wants to come up is perfect, but I think that's, come on, yep, but we appreciate it.
I'll be quick.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Mayor, City Council. Nilsa Taylor, Administrative Services Director. I'd like to, Vicki, come on up. Thank you. I'd like to reintroduce Ms. Vicki White.
A new person.
As the new Housing and Community
read that.
Development Manager. Vicki started her career with the City of Bradenton in 2002, and she held several positions in housing, and she's got over 23 years of housing and grant experience, and we're really excited to have her back on board. So, Vicki.
Welcome.
Welcome, safe.
Knowledge and experience is great.
I'm glad to be back. I actually miss the city of Bradenton.
You said when you're gone, so thank you.
A lot to miss.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Vicki.
And Ms. Barfield's in the back, and Ms. White and Ms. Barfield will be doing a good job for us, I'm sure.
I think there's a lot of things out there possibilities that will be coming up that we're really going to be able to work through. Mr. Rudiso, did you want to say anything before we go, or we're going to work on it?
I was just going to say, we're probably about due for Sunshine Public Records Workshop again. We try to do it every couple of years, and so we'll look for a time to do that. Probably when we get the new council person appointed would be a good time to revisit that, and then we'll invite all the other appointed committee members as well, because a lot of it's for them, so we'll get that.
Yeah, people don't realize that even the appointed housing board, the other things there fall under it. And also, I think everybody has to have their Form 1 in by the end of this month. So just to say that, make sure you get that. I finished mine last night. Last year I did Form 6 because it was still on there.
me too.
And then it was the day after I did it, they put it back to Form 1. But that's okay, I don't have anything to hide. So if there's nothing else for the good of the city, Mr. Williams, did you have something? Okay, you were looking at me like you. I would like to, one thing that you made me think of, and they're not here, but Irv, if you can pass on to them, I know through our grounds division yesterday, they went through Village of the Art with a group of citizens in there and just did some general cleanup in a neighborhood that had asked for some help with weed eating and different things. And we're going to do it again at another point in some time. But they used to do it every 6 months, and it kind of fell off. But just some general sidewalk weed eating, doing things that it helps out. But I appreciate Ross Peterson and his crew. I mean, yesterday was a hot one, but just those little things add up that showed to the friendly city. But if you can pass that along, that we appreciate what they do, and obviously stay hydrated and stay safe this summer, because we always do see it. We had the athletes come in today, and I know all the athletes are training for the fall sports, and you do see during the summer sometimes where the heat stroke and that. Make sure that everyone is staying hydrated, especially our staff out there, and keep things going. And with that, good of the order, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.